Chapter 986, Trista, Vampire Beauty. Meanwhile, Trista, the red-haired and alluring elder vampire, had arrived at the hidden island on the far side of the Azer continent. As she approached, the mist-shrouded island emerged from the depths of the vast ocean, revealing its mysterious and enigmatic presence. The island stood as a solitary fortress, its rugged cliffs jutting out defiantly against the crashing waves. Thick vegetation covered the land, intertwining with ancient ruins that spoke of a forgotten era. The air hung heavy with an otherworldly atmosphere, as if the island held secrets that yearned to be unraveled. Above the island, a couple of airships floated and hovered, their sails adorned with the golden insignia of the Guardian Guild, a bold G that symbolized protection and order. Trista's lips curled into a mocking smirk as she observed the oblivious guardians aboard the airships, unaware of the fate that had befallen their once revered guild. Little do they know, Trista snickered to herself, her voice filled with derision. Their precious Guardian Guild is no more. Soon, they shall join their fallen comrades in the realm of the dead. With a graceful motion, Trista took to the air, effortlessly soaring above the island without the need for wings. Her eyes scanned the landscape below, alert for any potential dangers that might lie in wait. As she flew, Trista's keen senses detected a gathering of guardians near a group of miners. Intrigued, she descended closer, her crimson gaze fixated on the conversation unfolding among the guardians on the hovering ship. "I can't wait to return home," said a tall, muscular guardian with a scruffy beard, his armor gleaming in the sunlight. "This waiting game is getting boring. We need some action." A younger guardian, donning a sleek silver armor, nodded in agreement. "I heard rumors that the higher-ups are hiding something from us. And did you hear about the miner who killed himself? It's all because of this strange energy deposit they want us to unearth. It's driving people mad." Trista listened intently, her interest piqued. The mention of a powerful energy deposit and its effect on the miners intrigued her. The guardians themselves were unaware of the true nature of the task they had been assigned. With her crimson lips curling into a sly smile, Trista decided to delve deeper into this mystery. The unsuspecting guardians had unwittingly provided her with valuable information, and she intended to make the most of it. Hovering on the outskirts of the island, hidden amidst the mist, Trista plotted her next move. She knew that the strongest guardian on the island was merely at the soul-refining stage, a stage below her own cultivation level, the fusion stage. This knowledge only fueled her confidence, knowing that she held a significant advantage. Trista's sudden landing on the deck sent shockwaves of panic and chaos through the unsuspecting guardians. Startled by her unexpected presence, they stumbled back, their eyes wide with disbelief and fear. The air crackled with tension as they beheld the seductive smile playing upon her lips, her eyes glistening with a cold, deadly intent. "Hello, boys," Trista greeted them, her voice laced with a hint of amusement. As her lips curled back, revealing her fangs, a collective gasp escaped the guardians. "Vampire," they whispered, their voices filled with both dread and awe. With a sly smile, Trista reassured them, her tone dripping with wicked charm. "Fear not, my dear guardians. I promise to make your deaths as painless as possible." The guardians hesitated, caught between the realization of facing a formidable opponent and the reluctance to surrender without a fight. Before they could come to a decision, Trista sprang into action, her movements a blur of grace and lethal precision. She descended upon them with a frenzy of unleashed power, tearing through their defenses like a predator unleashed upon its prey. Blood splattered across the deck as she rent apart their feeble resistance, each strike a symphony of destruction. Necks snapped with bone-chilling finality, their bodies crumpling lifelessly in her wake. The deck became a macabre tableau of carnage, strewn with the broken forms of once proud guardians. Trista stood amidst the wreckage, her red hair tumbling around her, drenched in the blood of her fallen foes. Her eyes gleamed with a mixture of triumph and hunger, her fangs stained crimson. Silence descended upon the deck, punctuated only by the soft lapping of waves against the airship. The guardians, who had dared to challenge the darkness, now lay defeated, their hopes shattered and their lives extinguished. As Trista reveled in her victory, her smile vanished abruptly when a slight pain seared through her shoulder. An arrow had found its mark, penetrating her flesh. The wound did not deter her, but it ignited a cold fury within her. Slowly turning, Trista fixed her gaze upon the guardian who had managed to escape her initial onslaught. The sheer intensity of her killing intent radiated from her eyes, causing a wave of terror to wash over the guardian. His hands trembled as he notched another arrow, infused with golden arch energy. Desperation fueled his actions as he unleashed the arrow, hoping to halt the relentless vampire. But Trista was far from an easy prey. With lightning-quick reflexes, she snatched the arrow out of the air, her grip tightening around the shaft until it splintered in her grasp. A feral grin spread across Trista's face as she bared her fangs, a chilling display of her predatory nature. Without hesitation, she launched herself at the guardian with an unmatched speed, her movements blurred in a flurry of deadly grace. Seizing him by the throat, Trista sank her fangs deep into the exposed flesh of the guardian's neck. A surge of energy coursed through her as she fed upon his life force. With each passing second, the guardian's youth seemed to drain away, his once vibrant body withering into a desiccated husk. In a matter of mere moments, the guardian's life force was extinguished, leaving nothing but a mummified corpse in Trista's grasp. She released her grip, letting the lifeless form crumple to the deck, its vitality sucked dry. Trista wiped the remnants of blood from her lips, her eyes gleaming with a mix of satisfaction and hunger. The taste of the guardian's essence still lingered upon her tongue, fueling her power and lust for more. The deck now bore witness to the aftermath of yet another merciless display of Trista's deadly prowess. The fallen guardians lay strewn about, their bodies discarded and lifeless. Trista stood amidst the carnage, a figure of chilling elegance and unfathomable darkness. She surveyed her surroundings, her red hair cascading around her like a curtain of blood, as the mist-swathed island whispered secrets yet to be uncovered. Trista's wound on her shoulder mended itself with supernatural speed, a testament to her superior vampiric regeneration. As her body swiftly recovered, she ascended into the air, hovering above the hovering airship, her red hair billowing around her like flames in the wind. With a wave of her hand, she cast an ancient spell, its name lost to time, but its power unmistakable. A crimson mist rose from the fallen guardians, their lifeblood summoned by Trista's dark sorcery. The blood floated through the air, swirling and dancing as if guided by an invisible hand. It wove intricate patterns, like an ethereal tapestry, and enveloped the giant warship below. The vessel became ensconced in a cloak of pulsating red, the blood wrapping around it like a macabre shroud. Trista's gaze turned downwards, her eyes piercing through the mist to behold the guardians on the island below. Their expressions shifted from shock to pure terror as they witnessed the blood-covered ship and the enigmatic figure floating above. Their minds raced, trying to comprehend the supernatural spectacle before them, but their fear overwhelmed any rational thought. With a mere flick of her wrist, Trista exercised her control over the blood that encased the ship. The crimson threads tightened their grip, constricting and twisting. The vessel, now transformed into a horrifying harbinger of doom, broke free from its moorings and hurtled through the air like a meteor descending from the heavens. The sight was both mesmerizing and horrifying. The ship, streaked in vivid crimson, bore down upon the island, its trajectory unstoppable. Guardians scattered in panic, their futile attempts to flee crushed by the impending cataclysm. The earth shook beneath their feet as the vessel crashed into the island, a cataclysmic collision that rent the air with a thunderous roar. The impact unleashed an inferno of destruction, splintering the once tranquil island into a landscape of chaos. Mountains crumbled, flames licked the sky, and the echoes of screams filled the air. The guardians, who had dared to defy the darkness, were now victims of their own hubris, their lives extinguished in a devastating display of otherworldly power. Trista's lips curled into a sinister smile as she surveyed the aftermath of destruction. "The Dark Lord will be pleased," she murmured, her voice dripping with satisfaction, "to learn that these guardians have met their demise." Descending from the sky, Trista set foot on the scorched earth of the island. The trees stood ablaze, their branches reaching out like fiery fingers. Splintered wood from the shattered airship lay strewn about, engulfed in flames that cast flickering shadows across the scene. The ground was littered with the fallen guardians, some lying lifeless while others writhed in agony, their groans of pain filling the air. Ignoring the wounded guardians, Trista's gaze locked onto the mouth of a nearby cave. With a surge of unnatural speed, she dashed towards it, her form disappearing into the darkness. The cave exuded an eerie atmosphere, its depths shrouded in an impenetrable blackness. Mining equipment lay discarded along the path, a testament to the island's previous occupants. As Trista ventured deeper into the cave, torchlight flickered in the distance, drawing the attention of some guardians who had taken shelter within its depths. They hurried towards her, their weapons at the ready, only to be met with a swift and merciless demise. Their necks snapped with bone-chilling finality, their bodies falling lifelessly to the ground. Pressing onward, Trista continued her solitary journey through the labyrinthine cave. Finally, she reached a cavernous opening, where a small ray of sunlight pierced through the ceiling, illuminating the scene below. Water trickled around the edges, forming a delicate, meandering stream. In the center of the chamber, encased within a cage of peculiar metal, crackled a pulsating ball of black energy. Ancient skeletons, weathered and desolate, lay scattered around it like forgotten guardians of the past. However, suddenly she heard a whisper in the air. A chill ran down Trista's spine as the soft whisper drifted through the air. "Release me," it cooed, its words laced with promises of immense power. Her head throbbed, the weight of the offer pressing upon her mind. Yet, she fought against the allure, knowing the consequences of succumbing to such temptation. With steely determination, Trista activated the earpiece nestled in her ear, connecting her with the Dark Lord. "I have found the energy deposit," she conveyed with urgency, her voice laced with a mix of excitement and caution. "But you must come quickly. There is something more, something dangerous." Unbeknownst to the world, the clash between the Dark Lord and the ancient evil marked just the beginning of a cataclysmic battle. This energy deposit, a relic of unimaginable power, was but a precursor to the Dark Lord's rise to dominance. However, little did he know that this ancient evil, born from the depths of time, had slumbered long before even the gods and omegas existed. As these dark forces collided, the world stood on the precipice of a new era, where the fate of all living beings would be shaped by the conflict between two unstoppable forces of darkness. Chapter 987, Michael joins the ancient Dark Queen. An hour later, Michael arrived at the cave, drawn by Trista's urgent call. As he stepped into the dimly lit cavern, a sense of foreboding washed over him, for the atmosphere was heavy with an overwhelming presence of dark energy. His eyes widened in surprise as he realized the magnitude of the evil lurking within the cave. "Trista," Michael said, his voice laced with a mixture of admiration and concern. "You have done well. It is time for you to leave this place." Trista, her red hair slightly disheveled and her eyes still gleaming with the remnants of her earlier bloodlust, nodded in acknowledgement. She understood the gravity of the situation and trusted Michael's judgment. Reluctantly, she turned and made her way toward the cave's entrance, leaving Michael to face the ancient evil alone. As Trista departed, Michael's presence seemed to repel the malevolent energy that permeated the air. It was as if he possessed an innate immunity to the darkness that filled the cave. Though he could feel its weight pressing upon him, his resolve remained unyielding. With a steady gaze, Michael took a step forward, ready to confront the ancient evil that dwelled within. The lattice whispering voice, now colder and filled with anger, resonated through the cave. "Break the iron shield and release me," it demanded, its tone laced with a sense of urgency and menace. "Or face the consequences." Michael, undeterred by the threatening voice, scoffed and let out a mocking chuckle. "You cannot threaten nor tempt me," he declared, his voice firm and unwavering. "I know of your origins, and how could you call yourself a queen when you are scattered and caged like this?" The voice grew more furious, echoing with a mixture of rage and frustration. "You puny human. You have no idea who you are talking to. I am the queen of all." Michael remained resolute, his eyes gleaming with a hint of defiance. "Your claims of power may have been true in the distant past, but now you are nothing more than a shadow of your former self. Your time has passed, and you shall remain sealed within this cage." To Michael's surprise, standing before him were the remnants of Mugashuka's master and the self-proclaimed ancient being known as the Queen. During his travels through different universes, he had come across tales of the Queen, a threat that loomed over all existence. However, Michael had chosen to disregard her, for her soul had been fragmented and scattered across countless dimensions. Though her forces tirelessly sought to reunite her soul fragments and restore her power, it would take many years. Michael had more immediate concerns to attend to, and he knew he lacked the strength to face even one of the Queen's generals, let alone the Queen herself. Finding himself alone with this remnant of the Queen, Michael saw an opportunity to manipulate the situation to his advantage. With a calm demeanor and a hint of amusement, he proposed, "Since we find ourselves in this isolated space, why don't we engage in a conversation and discover that we may share more in common than you realize?" The Queen's anger flared, her ancient presence seething with hostility. "You, a mere ant, dare to suggest such a thing? I should end your existence for your audacity," she retorted, her voice dripping with contempt. A sly smile played across Michael's lips as he further provoked the ancient being. "Listen to yourself. You, who now yearns for the help of a mere ant to escape this cage. It seems you find yourself in this situation because you were too much of a bitch on your time," he taunted, purposefully igniting the Queen's fury. The Queen's rage intensified, her anger fueling her desire for revenge. But Michael remained unfazed, his demeanor unyielding and nonchalant. In this encounter, the balance of power tilted in his favor, and he reveled in his ability to manipulate and undermine the ancient being before him. "You should know that your General Mugashuku has sought my assistance in locating the dark energy crystals, which I suspect contain fragments of your own soul," Michael stated, his voice laced with a calculated confidence. The Queen's anger appeared to simmer down slightly upon hearing these words. Seizing the opportunity presented by the momentary lull, Michael continued to sway the Queen's disposition. In his mind, he weighed the possibility of joining forces with her, recognizing the potential for increased strength. Furthermore, he harbored a certain empathy for the Queen, as the world had labeled him as evil and dark, much like they had her. Until he could ascertain her true nature, he saw no harm in utilizing her power to his own advantage. Besides, even if he were convinced of her malevolence, he knew that his options were limited. It was a matter of utilizing her and her forces to further his own goals. "Very well, human. But let there be no mistake about who you are conversing with. While one fragment of my soul may be confined within this cage before you, countless others are not. Any of them possess the power to obliterate your very existence," the Queen warned, her voice laced with a chilling authority. "Understood," Michael responded, his tone tinged with a confident arrogance. "You see, I am a god. Granted, perhaps a lesser deity compared to your esteemed presence, but a god nevertheless. The world and those who hold power in it brand those who possess great strength or wield unfamiliar powers as evil and dark. They labeled me as such and banished me to another universe. Do you now see why I suggested we might share something in common?" With his words hanging in the air, Michael observed the Queen, awaiting her response. The balance between their potential alliance and the inherent dangers of their association swayed delicately, leaving their future intertwined with uncertainty. Weaklings indeed fear power, while gods revel in it, crushing those who are beneath them. The feeble-minded call what they fear evil and dark. Regrettably, these pathetic fools have been allowed to grow and flourish, the Queen replied, her tone dripping with disdain. "Yes, never underestimate the power of stupidity when it gathers in great numbers. This is where we can mutually benefit. As I am preoccupied with dealing with these imbeciles, I am unable to locate more of your scattered soul pieces. However, if you aid me in becoming stronger, as you have done with your generals, I can swiftly eradicate my enemies and expedite the search for your soul fragments," Michael proposed, his voice laced with calculated pragmatism. In response, the Queen's laughter filled the cavern, an ominous sound that sent shivers down Michael's spine. The malicious echoes reverberated through the chamber, signifying an unsettling agreement. "Human, do not assume that your attempts at manipulation escape my notice. I can read your thoughts as clearly as the light of day. Even the weakest fragment of my soul possesses the capability to annihilate your entire world in a matter of seconds. Yet, I perceive the potential benefits of utilizing you to further my own aims. Furthermore, I sense an ancient power dormant within you," the Queen declared, her voice tinged with a hidden sense of intrigue. A chill coursed through Michael's being as he felt the probing gaze of the ancient being, a sensation that left him feeling exposed and vulnerable. I comprehend now why Mugashuku chose you to locate my scattered soul pieces. This dormant power within you possesses the ability to fulfill that task. However, it remains dormant, choosing to hide from its predators. At its current stage, this power is incapable of defeating them. I can assist you in awakening this power for a limited duration in exchange for your pledge. The Queen's words dripped with insidious intent and an icy aura of authority. What is it that you desire? Michael inquired, his voice filled with a mixture of caution and curiosity. What you behold here is not a mere fragment of my soul, but rather my energy infused with a fraction of my consciousness. I left it as a beacon to guide the way towards my other scattered soul fragments, despite being imprisoned by someone I hold utmost disdain for, the Queen clarified, her voice resonating with a mix of bitterness and determination. And you wish for me to locate this soul fragment that your consciousness has discovered and deliver it to Mugashuku, Michael surmised. Yes and no. It would be prudent for you to locate my soul piece, but instead of handing over the crystal that contains it to Mugashuku, leave it within the place you refer to as the demon's grave, the Queen commanded, her voice leaving no room for negotiation. The temptation to awaken the dormant system was too alluring for Michael to resist. He recognized the symbiotic relationship between himself and the system, realizing that if the Queen could temporarily awaken the system, he could utilize the accumulated badass points to locate more hidden seeds of darkness and find a permanent solution to prevent the system from remaining offline. I can fulfill your request. You have my word, Michael pledged, his tone laced with a tinge of eagerness and caution. I care not for your words, human. Failure to uphold this agreement will result in the wrath of my minion, Mugashuku. You would be wise to honor your promise, the Queen warned, her voice chillingly devoid of mercy. Understood, Michael replied. A brief silence enveloped the cavern, broken only by the Queen's voice as she continued to speak. Absorb my energy, and it shall awaken your dormant power, the Queen commanded, her words carrying a commanding authority. Suddenly, a pulsating sensation surged through Michael's mind, a familiar hum signaling the reawakening of the system. To his surprise and elation, he heard the long-lost voice of the system once again. System rebooting. Unknown power has overridden safe mode. Energy absorption has commenced. The Queen's voice echoed with a commanding tone as she issued her next instruction. Destroy the cage, human. Break the constraints that hold my energy captive, she commanded, her words laced with a mix of authority and anticipation. Michael's instincts compelled him to obey, his mind filled with a surge of dark energy. Beams of darkness shot forth from his eyes, their intensity growing with each passing moment. With a tremendous burst of power, the beams struck the metal cage, shattering it into countless fragments. The once imprisoned energy, now liberated, radiated with a strange aura, as if undergoing a transformation. If the system had remained offline and silent, Michael's initial instinct would have been to exercise caution and avoid breaking the cage that held the Queen's energy. His analytical mind would have evaluated the potential risks and consequences of such an action. However, the awakening of the system introduced a new element into the equation. Its whispered guidance and subtle influence, coupled with Michael's trust in its judgment, shifted his perspective. The system's suggestion to break the cage and absorb the energy resonated with his deepest instincts, convincing him that it was a necessary and advantageous course of action. In this symbiotic relationship between man and system, their combined instincts and the whispered promises of power led Michael to make the fateful decision to shatter the cage and embrace the Queen's energy. As the shattered fragments of the cage fell to the ground, the released energy began to manifest itself in a peculiar manner. It swirled and twisted, coalescing into intricate patterns and symbols that danced in the air around Michael. The energy seemed to be drawn towards him, and a powerful force drew it inward. Within Michael's being, the system that had lain dormant for what felt like an eternity greedily absorbed the newfound energy. It crackled and surged, merging with the dark sliver of energy that had once been the Queen's. The merging of the two forces produced an otherworldly glow, as if a cosmic exchange was occurring within Michael's very core. With each passing moment, the dark sliver of energy dissipated, vanishing into Michael's body. The absorption completed, the once dormant system hummed with renewed vigor, intertwining with the latent power that had been awakened. Michael's senses sharpened, his veins pulsating with a newfound strength, as if the amalgamation of dark energy and system had forged him into something beyond human. As the final remnants of the Queen's energy vanished, Michael stood before the radiant aftermath of the cage's destruction, a transformation evident in his eyes. Chapter 988, The System is Back Online, System Online. The system will go offline in 1 hour. As the system came back online, its familiar voice echoed within Michael's mind, bringing a sense of reassurance and excitement. "I'm glad to have you back, system," he whispered. With the system's return, Michael knew he had a powerful tool at his disposal, one that could aid him in his quest for the seeds of darkness. "I need to know where to find more seeds of darkness," Michael stated, his voice filled with determination. The system's response was swift and concise. "To locate all the seeds of darkness, a total of 5 million badass points is required. Once the points are paid, I will provide you with a comprehensive map containing their locations." Michael paused for a moment, considering the significance of the task at hand. He had worked tirelessly to accumulate his badass points, and now they would be put to the ultimate test. With a resolute nod, he replied, "Agreed, points deducted. Transfer complete. Map containing the locations of the seeds of darkness has been added to your system storage." A surge of satisfaction coursed through Michael's veins as he felt the weight of the task ahead. The map would be his guide, leading him to the hidden sources of power and darkness. "And system, do you recall the Phoenix project we previously discussed? It seems that the time has come for its completion," Michael remarked, his voice tinged with a hint of anticipation. "Although I hope it won't be necessary, I have a feeling that I might need it soon. The system is capable of completing the Phoenix project, but a total of 10 million badass points is required for its execution." "Consider it done," Michael responded without hesitation. With the system fully operational, even if only for an hour, he wasted no time in setting his plans into motion, carefully orchestrating the unfolding events and preparing the stage for the imminent battles that lay ahead. After returning from the cave, Michael entered his forge in the demon's grave, where the metal he required from Saber was waiting for him. The flickering flames of the forge cast eerie shadows on the walls, creating an atmosphere of anticipation. He approached the workbench and carefully retrieved the parchment where he had sketched the designs for his armor and Gaia's armor. Unfolding the parchment, Michael studied the intricate details of each piece, envisioning how they would come to life. He knew that the completion of his armor required not only skill but also the finest metals. With the system back online, it had provided him with a comprehensive list of suitable metals, thanks to the information he had received from Saber. However, as he reviewed the list, Michael realized that his priorities had shifted. He had spent a significant amount of his accumulated badass points on life-saving backup plans and crucial resources that were more important than obtaining the dark ore for his armor. The cost of acquiring the dark ore through badass points exceeded the remaining points he possessed. Undeterred by this setback, Michael made a decision. He would proceed with forging his armor using the worldly metals available to him, knowing that the expertise of a skilled blacksmith like himself could still create a formidable piece of equipment. He would reserve the option to upgrade the armor with the dark ore in the future once he had accumulated the necessary points or discovered alternative means of obtaining it. With resolute determination, Michael began gathering the required materials, carefully selecting the metals that possessed the desired properties and strength. Igniting the forge with a wave of his hand, he set the temperature to the perfect level, allowing the metals to heat and soften. As the flames danced and the heat intensified, Michael wielded his hammer with practiced precision, shaping the metals according to the design he had sketched. Each strike echoed through the forge, resonating with his unwavering determination. Hours turned into days as Michael tirelessly worked on his armor, meticulously crafting each piece with unwavering attention to detail. The clang of metal against metal filled the air, harmonizing with the rhythmic beating of his heart. With every strike, he poured his essence into the creation, infusing the armor with his dark energy. Throughout the forging process, thoughts of Gaia lingered in Michael's mind. He knew he had to fashion armor worthy of his soon-to-be wife, a reflection of her strength and beauty. He took a moment to sketch the design for Gaia's armor, ensuring that it complemented his own while also capturing her essence. After a long day of forging, Elidor entered the forge, his eyes filled with concern. He couldn't help but worry about Michael, who seemed completely engrossed in his work, oblivious to the impending wedding day. As Elidor stepped into the dimly lit forge, his gaze fell upon two tall figures shrouded in dark cloth, piquing his curiosity. "My lord, your wedding is tomorrow. You should get some rest and prepare for the big day," Elidor gently reminded Michael, hoping to draw his attention away from the forge. Michael's face lit up with excitement as he turned to face Elidor. With anticipation in his voice, he exclaimed, "Ah, Elidor, you've arrived at the perfect time." As Elidor's eyes fell upon the draped figures, Michael approached them, his movements filled with a sense of pride and accomplishment. Slowly and deliberately, he removed the black cloth, revealing the two awe-inspiring armors he had forged. The first armor, crafted according to Michael's sketch, emanated an intimidating presence. The chest plate, adorned with a fearsome skull, had crimson eyes that seemed to exude an aura of menacing power. Gone was the need for a mask, as the armor covered Michael's entire body from neck to toe. Metallic wings, seamlessly integrated into the armor's structure, caught the light with a reflective gleam, hinting at their immense strength. These wings bestowed upon him the ability to defy gravity, enabling him to navigate treacherous environments such as the perilous Demon's Grave. The armor incorporated various powerful tools, including the APD Mark III grappling hook and the versatile Olympus. A spraying mechanism on his palm provided him with the means to release potent toxins and poisons when necessary. What delighted him most, however, was the ingenious face cloak system he had devised. With a simple activation, a menacing skull mask concealed his face, offering protection in underwater settings or when he required additional shielding for his head. Majestic capes billowed regally when the wings were closed, and sword sheaths adorned his back, allowing easy access to his trusted blades. Strategically placed slots around his waist were designed to hold an array of gadgets and tools, ensuring he was prepared for any battle that lay ahead. Besides Michael's armor stood Gaia's counterpart, an identical ensemble with slight alterations to accommodate her feminine form. The breastplate was meticulously shaped to fit her curves, while an intricate engraving of a cobra graced the center of the skull emblem. The armor, predominantly black, featured silver and red linings along the edges, accentuating its dark allure. Just like Michael's, Gaia's armor possessed the metallic black wings that promised flight and freedom. The surface of the armor shimmered, its sheen reflecting the forge's flickering flames, while an air of terror emanated from its terrifying appearance. Elidor stood in awe, beholding the magnificent armors that Michael had created. The craftsmanship, attention to detail, and sheer power exuded from them left him speechless. It was clear that these armors were not mere tools for battle but embodiments of Michael and Gaia's journey, their devotion to each other, and the darkness that coursed through their veins. In that moment, Elidor understood that Michael's commitment to forging the perfect armors had a profound significance beyond their physical form. They represented their unity, their unyielding determination to face whatever challenges awaited them as a couple. "Elidor, please see to it that these armors are delivered to the Phoenix Project," Michael instructed as he turned to leave the forge. "I think it's time for me to freshen up. The scent of metal and fire clings to me." With that, Michael strode out of the forge, the weight of his responsibilities temporarily lifted from his shoulders. Leaving the castle behind, he made his way towards a nearby waterfall, a place of tranquility where he could cleanse both his body and mind. The anticipation of the upcoming wedding filled his thoughts, and even though Eve had kept the location a secret, he had full confidence in Saber and the elder vampires to ensure its security. As the cascading water enveloped him, washing away the remnants of soot and sweat, Michael allowed himself a moment of respite. The cool mist embraced him, rejuvenating his spirit and sharpening his focus. Being the Dark Lord, the most formidable entity in the world, he knew that his presence alone was often enough to deter any potential threats. Yet, he remained vigilant, understanding the importance of the occasion and the need for meticulous preparations. As the water fell gracefully around him, Michael contemplated the path he had walked, the battles fought, and the sacrifices made to reach this momentous day. He couldn't help but feel a surge of gratitude for the loyal comrades who had stood by his side, each playing an integral role in his journey. Their unwavering support had brought him to the precipice of this joyous union with Gaia, and for that, he was truly grateful. Emerging from the waterfall, his body refreshed and his mind clear, Michael made his way back to the castle. As he approached, he could sense the energy and excitement building in the air. The grandeur of the occasion was palpable, and he was ready to embrace the celebration of love that awaited him. With his armor forged, his subordinates handling the necessary arrangements, and his heart filled with anticipation, Michael stepped into the castle, ready to embark on the next chapter of his extraordinary life. While Michael was preparing for his big day, Dagon stepped into the temple of the god of darkness in the realm of gods. A foreboding atmosphere enveloped him. The chamber was shrouded in darkness, lit only by a few candles that burned with an eerie blue light. Shadows danced along the ancient stone walls, casting twisted silhouettes upon the cold floor. At the far end of the temple stood a colossal statue, a depiction of the god of darkness himself, Michael. The temple's worshippers, devout followers of the god of darkness, lay scattered and unconscious, felled by Dagon's minions who had swiftly subdued them. Silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by Dagon's echoing footsteps as he advanced toward the towering statue. As he reached the base, Dagon extended his hand, his fingertips grazing the cool surface of the obsidian figure. To his astonishment, the statue quivered beneath his touch as if infused with a surge of life. A hidden compartment, previously concealed beneath the statue's feet, creaked open, revealing a small black box made of a mysterious, shimmering metal. A golden light radiated from within, casting an ethereal glow upon Dagon's face. "Graces of gods," Dagon mumbled in awe, his eyes fixed on the radiant box. With trembling hands, he carefully lifted the precious artifact from its resting place. His gaze flickered up to meet the unyielding gaze of the statue above him, his lips curling into a wicked grin. "Let the battle begin," Dagon declared, his voice laced with anticipation. With a decisive motion, he opened the black box, and a flurry of sparkling lights burst forth, darting through the air before vanishing into the shadows beyond the temple's boundaries. Chapter 989. The big wedding. The long-awaited day had finally arrived. The island, bathed in the ethereal glow of 3 dazzling moons, exuded an enchanting aura. Lush green grass, meticulously pruned and shimmering under the moonlight, stretched out as far as the eye could see. Delicate petals of black roses adorned the pathways, leading to a grand altar adorned with obsidian pillars and silver draperies that billowed gently in the breeze. The island had been transformed into a realm of dark elegance, where nature and artistry melded seamlessly. Moonlight cascaded through intricately woven canopies, casting enchanting patterns upon the ground. Crystal chandeliers, suspended from ancient trees, twinkled with 1,000 iridescent lights, creating an otherworldly ambience. Floral arrangements of black orchids, crimson lilies, and dark calla lilies mingled with rare thorny vines, forming a tapestry of contrasting beauty. Candles flickered in ornate holders, casting a soft, mesmerizing glow upon the faces of the guests. A majestic arch, adorned with intertwining vines and delicate silver chains, framed the couple's ceremonial space. At its pinnacle, a magnificent black opal, glowing with an inner fire, stood as a symbol of eternal union. As the guests arrived, they marveled at the breathtaking scene that unfolded before their eyes. They found their seats upon silver-padded chairs, their backs adorned with midnight blue satin bows. Soft, haunting melodies filled the air as skilled musicians played haunting melodies on stringed instruments. From the edges of the island, the sapphire waves of the dark sea lapped gently against the shore, harmonizing with the symphony of love and celebration. The sky above was an artist's canvas, painted with countless stars that twinkled in harmony with the moons, creating a celestial canopy overhead. All around, a sense of joy and anticipation hung in the air, as friends, allies, and dignitaries gathered to witness the union of the Dark Lord and his beloved. This was a moment that transcended darkness, a moment of unity and newfound hope that would forever be etched in the annals of their world. On the edge of the island, 3 magnificent portals had been meticulously constructed. The first, larger and adorned with swirling obsidian patterns, awaited the arrival of the Dark Lord himself. The second, adorned with delicate silver and gold filigree, stood ready for the radiant entrance of the bride, Gaia. The third, for the esteemed guests, shimmered with a translucent energy, inviting them to step into the realm of enchantment. Only the closest friends and family of the Dark Lord and Gaia had received the honor of an invitation. As the portals hummed with power, a sense of anticipation rippled through the air. The array of arrays and protective runes, intricately etched into the ground around the island, glowed softly, serving as both a decorative element and a security measure. Among the first to emerge from the guest portal was Cindy, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She was accompanied by Claire, a striking beauty with cascading blonde hair, who guided her gently towards their designated seating. Raylene, Cindy's mother, exuded elegance as she walked gracefully alongside them, her presence commanding attention and respect. Saber, a trusted ally and confidant of the Dark Lord, strode with a dignified eye. Tiberius, a formidable warrior with a quiet strength, stood tall and proud, his attire a perfect blend of regality and power. Delar, the imposing orc, his rough exterior softened by a touch of sophistication, made his way towards the seating area with a determined stride. Each guest, dressed in their finest attire, showcased a unique blend of elegance and individuality. They moved with grace and purpose, their footsteps punctuated by the gentle rustle of rich fabrics. Laughter and whispers filled the air as old friends greeted one another, their anticipation growing with each passing moment. As they took their seats, the island became a tapestry of colors and personalities, a gathering of those closest to the Dark Lord and Gaia. The stage was set, the scene beautifully orchestrated, as they awaited the arrival of the Dark Lord and his radiant bride. The guests looked around in awe, their eyes wide with wonder at the breathtaking beauty of the island and its enchanting decorations. Trista, her voice filled with admiration, remarked, "Eve has truly outdone herself. This is a sight to behold." Saber nodded in agreement, his usually stoic expression softened by a genuine smile. Indeed, she has poured her heart and soul into making this day unforgettable. Tiberius, his gaze fixed on the intricate details, marveled, "I've never seen anything quite like this. It's as if we've stepped into a realm of pure magic." Arya, her voice filled with excitement, added, "Every little detail, from the sparkling lights to the delicate flowers, it's like a dream come true." Raylene, her eyes shimmering with pride, turned to Claire and said, "You and Eve have done an exceptional job. This is beyond anything I could have imagined." Claire blushed modestly, her voice tinged with gratitude. "Thank you, Raylene. It was an honor to assist in creating this magical ambience." As the guests marveled at the decorations, their attention was momentarily drawn to a flicker of movement in the sky. Trista's eyes widened as she whispered, "Do you see them?" Saber nodded, his voice barely audible, the vampire death squad members, concealed from prying eyes. They're the Dark Lord's last line of defense, vigilant and prepared for any unexpected turn of events. Gibson, Corey, Titus, Optimus, and Ricky exchanged impressed glances, their voices filled with awe. "Such attention to detail and thoughtfulness," Gibson remarked. "Indeed," Corey agreed, "it's clear that no expense was spared in creating this grand spectacle." Titus added, "The Dark Lord and Gaia truly deserve nothing but the best on their special day." Optimus, his voice filled with admiration, stated, "I'm honored to be part of this celebration. It's like stepping into a fairy tale." Ricky nodded, his eyes reflecting the shimmering lights surrounding them. "I couldn't agree more. This island and the atmosphere, it's simply magical." As the guests continued to explore the enchanting setting, their expressions mirrored a shared sentiment of amazement and gratitude. This was a momentous occasion, a testament to love and unity, where every detail had been carefully crafted to create a truly unforgettable experience. Cindy, her eyes sparkling with excitement, tugged at Raylene's sleeve and exclaimed, "Mommy, Ghost and Gaia are going to look so beautiful as husband and wife. I want a wedding like this when I grow up." Her innocence and enthusiasm brought smiles to everyone's faces. Claire, unable to contain her amusement, knelt down to Cindy's eye level and teasingly remarked, "Well, Cindy, we'll have to find you the perfect Prince Charming when the time comes." Trista playfully joined in, adding, "But we won't let you get married just yet. You're too young." Gibson, Corey, Titus, Optimus, and Ricky chuckled at the adorable exchange, their laughter blending with the gentle waves crashing against the shore. Gibson ruffled Cindy's hair affectionately, saying, You have plenty of time, little one. Enjoy being a child for now. Cindy pouted playfully, crossing her arms and retorting, but it's so pretty. I want a big wedding with flowers and lights just like Ghost and Gaia's. Her determination and enthusiasm brought warmth to their hearts. Raylene, her voice filled with love and amusement, hugged Cindy tightly. One day, sweetheart, you'll have the wedding of your dreams. But for now, let's enjoy this beautiful celebration and make wonderful memories together. As the guests laughed and shared in the joyful banter, the innocence of Cindy's wishes reminded them of the preciousness of youth and the magic of love. They cherished this moment, knowing that it would be a memory to hold dear for years to come. When the anticipation reached its peak, the atmosphere crackled with excitement. The portal designated for the Dark Lord shimmered with an ethereal glow, drawing everyone's attention. Dark flames danced along the edges of the portal, casting a mesmerizing play of shadows. And then, with an air of regal grace, the Dark Lord stepped through the portal, accompanied by the ever-loyal Elder. Gasps of astonishment escaped from the lips of the guests as they laid eyes upon their enigmatic leader. Dressed in a tuxedo that perfectly blended the elegance of the modern world with the medieval flair of their realm, the Dark Lord was a vision of dashing allure. The ensemble consisted of a tailored black coat with intricate silver embroidery along the edges, highlighting his commanding presence. The coat cascaded down to his knees, accentuating his lean physique and regal stature. Beneath the coat, he wore a crisp white shirt, its collar adorned with a black silk cravat elegantly tied in a knot. His pants were a deep shade of charcoal, tailored to perfection, while his black leather boots added a touch of rugged sophistication. But it was the Dark Lord's transformation that truly left everyone stunned. He had shaved his stubble beard, revealing a chiseled jawline, and his shoulder-length black hair was carefully pruned, framing his face with a captivating allure. His piercing eyes held a glimmer of both power and vulnerability, captivating the hearts of all who beheld him. As whispers of awe and admiration spread through the guests, a collective realization washed over them. The Dark Lord, their feared and revered leader, was not only a formidable force but also a man of breathtaking handsomeness. The contrast of his dark aura with his striking appearance created an irresistible magnetism, leaving everyone mesmerized. In that moment, the beauty of the island and the grandeur of the wedding faded into the background. All eyes were fixed upon the Dark Lord, their hearts quickening at the sight of this unexpected and captivating transformation. Whispers of admiration and disbelief floated through the guests, their voices tinged with awe and astonishment. "Have you ever seen him look so handsome?" Trista murmured, her eyes never leaving the Dark Lord. Arya nodded in agreement, a dreamy smile playing on her lips. "I've always known he was powerful, but this is something else entirely. He's positively enchanting." Raylene, unable to contain her amazement, leaned in closer to Claire. "Is it even possible for someone to be that attractive? Gaia is a lucky woman." Claire chuckled softly, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "I think every woman in this room is feeling a little jealous right now. Who could resist such allure?" Cindy tugged on Saber's sleeve, her eyes wide with wonder. "Ghost looks like a prince from a fairy tale." "He's so handsome, Saber. I want a wedding just like this." Saber ruffled Cindy's hair affectionately, a playful glint in his eyes. "Well, little one, make sure your wedding is just as magical. But remember, we won't let anyone steal you away from us so easily." Gibson, standing nearby, chimed in with a smirk. "Sorry, Cindy, but you're stuck with us. No one else can match up to your awesomeness." The guests laughed, the joyous sound filling the air as they reveled in the enchanting atmosphere and the captivating presence of their Dark Lord. Each conversation, filled with admiration and playful banter, echoed the unanimous sentiment: the Dark Lord was a vision of unparalleled handsomeness, capturing the hearts of all who beheld him. Time seemed to stand still as the portal of the bride shimmered with a radiant golden light. Anticipation filled the air, and all eyes turned toward the glowing portal. Through the ethereal haze, Gaia emerged, a vision of exquisite beauty. Gasps of admiration escaped the lips of the guests as they beheld her. Gaia's flowing black hair cascaded down her shoulders, complementing her flawless complexion and accentuating her striking features. Her eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and love, while her elegant posture exuded grace and confidence. Gaia wore a gown that seemed to have been woven from moonlight itself. The dress hugged her curves delicately, before cascading into layers of ethereal white fabric that trailed behind her. The bodice was adorned with intricate silver embroidery, shimmering like stardust, and delicate lace sleeves draped gracefully over her arms. The gown's neckline dipped modestly, accentuating her collarbones and drawing attention to the radiant smile that graced her lips. The guests were captivated, their breaths held in awe, as Gaia glided down the aisle, her every step a testament to her beauty. Michael stood at the altar, his heart racing, his eyes fixed on his radiant bride. For a moment, he was rendered speechless, his gaze locked with hers. Claire, standing beside Trista, leaned in and whispered, her voice filled with wonder, "She's like a goddess, so stunning, it's almost unreal." Trista nodded, her voice filled with admiration. "He is a lucky man. She's the epitome of elegance and beauty." Saber, his eyes never leaving Gaia, leaned towards Raylene. "Look at her, Raylene. She's like a celestial being. I've never seen a bride more radiant." Raylene, her voice filled with emotion, replied, "She's the perfect match for our Dark Lord. They are truly meant for each other." Adelia, with a proud and gentle expression, walked alongside her daughter down the aisle. Vidora, perched gracefully on Adelia's shoulder, seemed to radiate a sense of calm and wisdom, her presence adding a touch of enchantment to the scene. All eyes were fixed on Gaia and Michael, their gazes locked, as if the world around them had faded into insignificance. The guests watched in awe as the bride and her mother made their way towards the awaiting Dark Lord. Gaia's every step exuded grace and elegance, her eyes sparkling with anticipation and happiness. The soft rustle of her wedding dress seemed to harmonize with the gentle breeze, lending an ethereal quality to her movement. Adelia, her face beaming with motherly pride, guided Gaia with a gentle touch, offering both support and love. Michael stood at the altar, his eyes never leaving his bride. A sense of wonder and admiration filled his gaze as he took in the vision before him. In that moment, it was as if time stood still, and the world existed solely for their union. The guests observed this tender exchange, their hearts swelling with joy for the couple. Whispers of awe and appreciation rippled through the crowd, as they witnessed the profound connection between Gaia and Michael. Claire, her voice filled with emotion, turned to Arya beside her. "Look at them, Arya. They are meant to be together. Such love and devotion." Arya nodded, her eyes misty with tears of happiness. "Yes, Claire. It's as if they were destined to find each other. They look absolutely mesmerized by one another." The atmosphere was charged with a mixture of anticipation, love, and enchantment. As Gaia drew closer to Michael, the air seemed to shimmer with the palpable energy of their union. It was a moment of profound beauty and significance, one that would forever be etched in the memories of all who bore witness to their love. Chapter 990, Husband and wife Eladir, resplendent in his ceremonial attire, stepped onto the altar, his presence commanding attention. He took his position, ready to officiate the union of Gaia and Michael, a smile of warmth and genuine happiness adorning his face. Gaia's eyes never left Michael, her heart swelling with a mixture of awe and love. In her eyes, he was the epitome of strength, grace, and regal charm. She marveled at how handsomely he wore his tuxedo, the subtle hints of medieval flair adding a touch of mystique to his already captivating presence. As she stood before him, Gaia couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the beauty of the moment. The island, adorned with exquisite decorations, seemed to come alive with vibrant colors and delicate details, creating a picturesque backdrop for their union. The soft glow of the three moons cast a magical radiance over the scene, enhancing its ethereal quality. In Gaia's eyes, Michael was not just a Dark Lord, he was her beloved, her partner, and the man who had captured her heart. She had never imagined meeting someone like him, someone who saw beyond her titles and embraced her for who she truly was. His love and devotion made her feel cherished and valued, like a queen in his presence. As she stood beside him on this momentous day, Gaia felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment and contentment. This was the happiest moment of her entire life, a culmination of their journey and the beginning of a new chapter filled with love, adventure, and shared destiny. As Elidor began the ceremony, Gaia's gaze remained locked with Michael's. Their eyes spoke volumes, expressing a depth of connection and understanding that surpassed words. In that moment, surrounded by loved ones and embraced by the enchanting ambience, Gaia knew that she had found her true happiness. She was ready to embark on this extraordinary journey with Michael, hand in hand, for all eternity. Elidor stood before the couple, his voice carrying a soothing warmth as he began to speak, his words laced with wisdom and sincerity. Dark Lord, Gaia, today we gather to celebrate the union of two souls, bound together in love and commitment. Marriage is not just a union of hearts but a promise to journey through life hand in hand, facing both joys and challenges together. He paused, allowing his words to sink in, and continued, in the grand tapestry of life, it is not only during the happiest times that the bond of marriage grows stronger. It is in the face of adversity, the storms that test our resolve, that we discover the true strength of our connection. It is during these moments that the foundation of trust, respect, and unwavering support is forged. Elidor's voice resonated with a sense of reverence as he continued, marriage is a sacred commitment, a sanctuary of love and understanding where two souls find solace in one another's embrace. It is a partnership that calls upon you, Dark Lord, and you, Gaia, to stand as pillars of strength for one another. To lift each other up in times of doubt, to provide solace in moments of sorrow, and to celebrate each other's triumphs. He turned his gaze towards Michael and said, Dark Lord, as you stand here today, know that the strength of your character, the depth of your love, and the unwavering devotion you offer to Gaia will guide her through life's uncertainties. It is through your actions and your unwavering support that you shall inspire her to be her best self, to flourish and thrive. Elidor's eyes shifted to Gaia, a gentle smile gracing his lips. And Gaia, as you stand by the side of the Dark Lord, know that your love, compassion, and unwavering loyalty will serve as a beacon of light in his darkest moments. Your presence shall bring him comfort, and your understanding shall be his refuge. He turned his attention back to the couple before him, his voice filled with heartfelt sincerity. May your journey together be blessed with unwavering love, unbreakable bonds, and a shared destiny that transcends time. Cherish one another, uplift one another, and never forget that the strength of your love will carry you through life's greatest challenges. As Elidor's words hung in the air, the atmosphere was filled with a profound sense of unity and purpose. The couple exchanged a glance, their eyes reflecting the depth of their commitment and the promises they held within their hearts. In that moment, they knew that their love was not merely a fleeting flame but a blazing fire that would guide them through every step of their shared path. Elidor, recognizing the couple's preference for brevity, smiled warmly and nodded. In the spirit of your wishes, let us proceed without lengthy speeches. Dark Lord, Gaia, please share your heartfelt sentiments. Michael took a step forward, his eyes fixed on Gaia with unwavering adoration. With a voice filled with conviction, he spoke, I stand here today, surrounded by the love and support of those who have joined us in this celebration. But there is one truth I want to share. In this vast world, if a man claims to have fallen in love with a woman, he would never have the capacity to fall in love with another. If he does, then he never truly fell in love with the first. His words carried a sense of absolute devotion, a testament to the depth of his love for Gaia. The guests listened intently, captivated by the sincerity and conviction in his voice. Gaia, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, stepped forward to speak. Her voice trembled with emotion as she addressed the gathered crowd. I am not one for grand speeches, but I stand here today, in the presence of all the people who hold a special place in our hearts, to say a heartfelt thank you. Her gaze met Michael's, and she continued, her voice filled with love and gratitude. Thank you, for seeing me for who I truly am, for accepting and embracing every part of me. You have shown me a love so pure and unconditional, it has transformed my world. Today, as we embark on this journey together, I promise to stand by your side, to cherish and nurture the love we share. The guests applauded, touched by the sincerity of Michael and Gaia's words. Their love, expressed in its simplest form, resonated deeply within the hearts of all who witnessed the exchange. Ellider, his eyes gleaming with joy, concluded the moment with a smile. May your love continue to grow, nourished by the bond you share and the unbreakable commitment you have made to one another. Today, we celebrate your union and the beginning of a beautiful chapter in your lives. Ellider, his voice filled with warmth and joy, turned to Gaia and asked, Gaia, do you accept him as your husband, to love, honor, and cherish him in both joyful and challenging times? Gaia, her eyes sparkling with love and happiness, nodded fervently. Yes, with all my heart. Ellider then turned to Michael and asked, do you accept Gaia as your wife, to love, honor, and protect her in both joyful and challenging times? Michael's voice resonated with unwavering certainty. Yes, with all that I am. With a radiant smile, Ellider declared, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. As the guests erupted into applause, Ellider presented the wedding rings, a symbol of their eternal commitment. Gently, Michael and Gaia took each other's hands, slipping the rings onto their fingers, a gesture of love and unity. Ellider's voice filled the air once more, you may now seal your vows with a kiss. Time seemed to stand still as Michael and Gaia leaned in, their lips meeting in a tender and passionate embrace. The guests rose to their feet, showering the newlyweds with flowers and applause. Joy and celebration filled the air, mingling with laughter and cheers. Amidst the vibrant display of affection and admiration, the couple stood embraced, their hearts overflowing with love and gratitude. The moment marked the beginning of their shared journey, a union blessed by the love of those who surrounded them. As the petals of countless flowers danced around them, Michael and Gaia reveled in the euphoria of their union, knowing that their love had triumphed and that their souls had found their perfect match. They were now husband and wife, ready to face the future hand in hand, with the unwavering support of their loved ones by their side. The celebration continued in full swing as the enchanting melodies played by Ricky, Daniel, and the talented vampires filled the air. The infectious rhythm beckoned the guests to the dance floor, where laughter and joy echoed through every step. Gaia and Michael, their eyes locked with love and mirth, swayed together, their bodies moving in perfect harmony. The aroma of delectable delicacies wafted through the air, drawing everyone towards the feast prepared by Raylene. The tables were adorned with an array of mouth-watering dishes, each one a masterpiece in its own right. Succulent roasted meats, accompanied by a medley of herbs and spices, delighted the senses. Colorful salads burst with freshness and flavor, while platters of exquisite pastries tempted even the most disciplined palates. Guests gathered around, savoring the culinary delights, their taste buds tingling with pleasure. Raylene's culinary expertise was evident in every bite, as her creations showcased a perfect balance of flavors and textures. Laughter and compliments filled the air as each dish was savored, and the sound of clinking glasses and toasts resonated throughout the night. Amidst the festivities, Cindy, with her infectious energy, twirled and danced amongst the ladies, filling the atmosphere with her youthful enthusiasm. Saber, Delar, Raylene, Claire, and Eve, their usual stoic demeanor forgotten, joined in the merriment, their smiles lighting up the night. Gaia and Michael watched with adoration, their hearts filled with joy at the sight of their loved ones immersed in the celebration. As Cindy spun and twirled, Gaia and Michael shared a knowing glance. Michael's deep voice resonated with amusement as he said, "Look at our little dancer." Gaia's laughter bubbled forth as she replied, "She knows how to light up a room." "I just wish the ugly lizard was here." Their voices mingled with the music and laughter, a symphony of love and happiness. The beauty of the moment was not lost on them, as they reveled in the love and unity that surrounded them. The wedding, a celebration of their love, had become a joyous occasion for all, a testament to the bonds forged through friendship and shared experiences. As the night unfolded, the dance floor became a whirlwind of movement, with guests of all ages and backgrounds joining in the festivities. The once reserved vampires allowed themselves to be carried away by the rhythm, their graceful movements intertwining with those of their human counterparts. Amidst the delight and joy that filled the air, unbeknownst to the guests, a different presence loomed in the distant realm of gods. The god of war, a powerful and enigmatic deity, had taken notice of the momentous occasion taking place on the small island. Only the passage of time held the answer to the god's intentions. Would he choose to grace the wedding with his presence, bestowing his blessings upon the union of Gaia and Michael? Or would his wrath be unleashed, throwing the joyous celebration into chaos and upheaval? As the music played and the laughter resonated, the guests reveled in their happiness, unaware of the potential storm brewing in the realm of gods. Destiny would unfold in due course, and only then would the true nature of the god of war's intentions be revealed. For now, the island remained a haven of joy and celebration, a sanctuary where love and unity reigned supreme. Time, the ever-watchful observer, would soon reveal whether the god of war's presence would bring blessings or unleash the tempest of his wrath upon the unsuspecting wedding party. Chapter 991, War God of the Pantheon. While Michael's marriage celebration was going on full swing, in the realm of gods, where chaos and rumors of Dagon's return swirled, a towering figure commanded attention. This godly being was Rudra, the war god, a sight to behold. Standing taller and broader than any mortal, his muscular frame exuded power and strength. His fiery red hair cascaded down his back, complementing his commanding presence. Adorned in gleaming golden armor, Rudra's arms were protected, while his sculpted chest and well-defined abs were proudly displayed. His shoulders bore the weight of majestic lion heads, intricately crafted and attached to his shoulder plates, symbolizing his ferocity and dominance. Atop a hill, on a bed of gold, Rudra reclined, a goblet of wine in his hand. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and gold, casting a warm glow upon the god's features. His aura resonated with divine power, radiating an aura of authority and awe-inspiring might. The mountaintop where Rudra found solace was strewn with fragments of stone, remnants of golems that had met their demise during his relentless training. Each shattered piece bore testament to the god's formidable strength and unwavering dedication to his craft. In this tranquil moment, Rudra, the embodiment of war and battle, found respite. The world outside may have been plagued by chaos and rumors, but here, on his golden throne, he could bask in the glory of his own divinity. As Rudra reveled in his pocket dimension, an intrusive light pierced through the serenity. Annoyance etched upon his features, he shook his head disapprovingly, disrupted from his cherished moment of relaxation. Gradually, the luminous glow transformed into the ethereal figure of a woman with radiant golden hair. "Seraphine, I don't recall extending an invitation to my domain," Rudra asserted with a commanding voice that resonated like thunder. "We have discovered the graces of the gods trapped in the mortal realm, Rudra," Seraphine disclosed, her tone carrying a mixture of astonishment and concern. Unfazed by Seraphine's news, Rudra exhibited no emotions, except for his irritation at having his peaceful time disturbed by the goddess of information. "Good for you," he retorted dismissively, reclining once more upon his opulent golden bed, deliberately averting his gaze from Seraphine. "They were imprisoned within the temple of the god of darkness, and Dagon has released them," Seraphine divulged. The moment Rudra heard the names God of Darkness and Dagon, his nonchalant facade dissipated, replaced by a flicker of excitement as he lifted his gaze to meet Seraphine's expectant eyes. Amused, Rudra contemplated the revelation. "So, all this time, the graces were hiding right under our noses. And Dagon, how did he manage to breach our realm from the depths of hell? I can only imagine the frenzy the Pantheon must be in," he mused, flexing his formidable godly muscles. "Andor is currently handling Dagon's presence. The Pantheon requests that you ensure Dagon's swift return to the depths of hell," Seraphine conveyed, prompting a chuckle from Rudra. "Andor? That guy always complicates matters for the sake of appearing like a master strategist. All he does is waste time and lays around all day. Hold on a moment, you mentioned Dagon freeing the graces from the Dark God's temple. Didn't you inform me that Dagon was unable to breach our realm through the protective barrier surrounding the mortal realm?" Rudra inquired. Seraphine sighed wearily, continuing with her explanation. "Somehow, Dagon managed to momentarily enter our realm and unleash the graces. I am now certain he is amassing his forces within the realm between. As a fallen god, Dagon possesses the ability to transcend the barrier erected by the Dark God. The only hindrance preventing his full incursion into our realm is the artifacts that bind him to hell. Andor leads the Skyhall army against Dagon's Hell Walkers. However, Andor cannot unleash his full power without leaving that damn castle. So, you expect me to venture into the realm between and join forces with Andor's mortal army? Rudra questioned, his tone dripping with disdain at the mere suggestion put forth by Seraphine. Let me make this clear, Rudra. Dagon is unable to escape hell until his hell walkers break the artifacts within the realm between. Andor is confined to his castle, unable to enter the realm of gods, and we are unable to step into the mortal realm until the barrier created by the Dark God is dismantled. The Pantheon desires the Dark God's current incarnation to break the remaining 3 seals, allowing us to breach the barrier and confront Dagon directly in hell. Do you understand? Seraphine explained, simplifying the intricate situation. It seems straightforward enough. Although I'm certain the Pantheon and Andor have concocted an elaborate plan to make themselves appear as masters of the universe, pulling off intricate strategies and such, Rudra chuckled at the thought of the Pantheon's machinations. Things are not as simple as they may appear, Rudra. Perhaps for you, the war god who charges into battle with sheer brute force and no need for elaborate plans, Seraphine remarked with a serious tone. I always have a plan, Seraphine. It's called power. Overwhelming power surpasses strategies any day, Rudra stated confidently, rising from his golden bed to face Seraphine. No matter how intricate an ant's plans may be, all it takes is a single step to crush both their plan and their life, Rudra declared confidently, causing Seraphine to sigh in resignation. She knew better than to argue with Rudra, for he had proven himself victorious time and time again against the enemies of the Pantheon. After all, he was the god of war for a reason. Will you venture into the realm in between? Seraphine asked, seeking a direct answer. However, instead of responding immediately, Rudra lifted his wine glass, savoring a slow sip before continuing. Fighting the Hell Walkers would serve no purpose. A war cannot be won by winning a solitary battle. Victory in this war with Dagon will only be achieved when his head lies severed on the ground. To defeat him, we must confront him at his weakest point, Rudra explained, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Seraphine couldn't help but grin inwardly, recognizing the fervor that always consumed Rudra. While he may not possess the strategic prowess of Andor, when it came to winning wars, there was no god more adept than the god of war himself. What do you propose, Rudra? As I've said, I dislike convoluted plans. My strategy is simple. I shall send a fraction of my divine essence into the mortal realm, locating the 3 seal bearers and allowing the current incarnation of the Dark God to eliminate them. This will grant us access to hell, where we can confront Dagon directly before he sets foot in our realm. Rudra outlined his plan, noting the alignment with Andor's own strategy. Normally, Seraphine would never involve Rudra and Andor in the same endeavor, for their mutual animosity ran deep. However, time was of the essence, and the Pantheon needed Rudra's formidable presence. What about the Dark God? What do you intend to do with him? Seraphine inquired, her curiosity piqued. She knew that 5,000 years ago, Rudra had harbored a burning desire to confront the God of Darkness. However, the Dark God had reset the universe and erected a formidable barrier between the mortal realm and the realm of gods, effectively preventing a clash between them. Rudra had been denied the opportunity to engage in battle with his ancient adversary. But now, with Rudra's power to send a sliver of his grace through the weakened barrier following the demise of several seal bearers, the long-awaited clash between the God of Darkness and the God of War seemed feasible. What is he up to in the mortal realm? Rudra inquired, withholding his own plan involving the God of Darkness for the time being. He is getting married, Seraphine revealed, causing Rudra to click his tongue in response. Then I shall wait. I am not an asshole and have no desire to disrupt a wedding. Let him embark on this new chapter of his life without interference, Rudra declared, devoid of any ill intentions towards the God of Darkness. You are aware that he cannot be killed without the dash. Seraphine's sentence was abruptly cut off as Rudra interjected. He may be unkillable for now, but I can weaken him to the point where he will no longer pose a threat, Rudra snickered, his confidence evident. But that is not a permanent solution, Rudra. He has the potential to regain his strength, Seraphine argued. Then I will face him time and time again until you strategists come up with a more viable approach. After all, we gods have nothing but time on our hands, Rudra declared, his determination unwavering. Then, Rudra placed his fingers on his forehead, tapping into the immense power that flowed through him. With a swift motion, he extracted a small sliver of golden thread, pulsating with his divine grace. Holding it up, he turned to face Seraphine. This tiny fragment of my grace will accomplish more than Andor's complicated plans ever could, Rudra proclaimed confidently. With a flick of his wrist, he released the sliver of grace, watching as it disappeared into the vast expanse of the golden sky, making its way toward the mortal realm. Seraphine raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. But Rudra, your grace requires a mortal vessel in the mortal realm. How do you plan to accomplish that? Rudra grinned mischievously, his eyes gleaming with unspoken knowledge. Fear not, Seraphine. I still have devoted worshippers in the mortal realm who would gladly offer their physical bodies for the manifestation of my grace. They shall be the vessels through which my power will flow. Seraphine nodded, realizing the extent of Rudra's connection to his followers. She understood that their unwavering devotion would provide the conduits necessary for his divine grace to manifest in the mortal realm. In the vast tapestry of the divine realm, each god was a protagonist in their own story, with their own trials, triumphs, and quests. The god of darkness, the god of war, the god of time and space, and the fallen god Dagon all played their roles, guided by the invisible hand of fate. Their choices, desires, and motivations wove together, bringing them into conflict and forging alliances that remained hidden from the rest of the realm of gods. Among them, it was the god of darkness who found common ground with Dagon, the fallen god. Together, they formed an unexpected alliance that threatened the delicate balance of power. The true motives of Dagon's rebellion and the intricate relationship between the god of darkness and Dagon remained concealed, awaiting a time when the threads of fate would be pulled, unraveling the mysteries of their intertwined stories. As the sliver of grace continued its journey, Rudra and Seraphine stood in the realm of gods, contemplating the imminent events that would unfold. The fate of both realms hung in the balance, and Rudra's bold plan would set into motion a series of events that could change the course of their existence. Chapter 992, War God crashes the wedding. As the wedding celebration of Michael and Gaia reached its peak, the atmosphere was filled with joy, laughter, and the infectious rhythm of music. The guests danced and reveled in the happiness of the occasion, their hearts light and carefree. Amidst the merriment, Michael, the groom, glanced up at the night sky and noticed a sudden glimmer of light. It caught his attention, and an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of his stomach. Sensing something amiss, he discreetly activated the earpiece hidden beneath his neatly tailored suit. "Spider, I've spotted a strange light in the sky. Check it out discreetly and report back," Michael whispered urgently, ensuring that Gaia remained unaware of his concerns. Before the vampire death squad could acknowledge his command, the glimmer of light in the sky rapidly intensified, closing the distance with astonishing speed. Gasps of surprise escaped from the guests' lips as the light descended upon the island, illuminating the surroundings with an otherworldly brilliance. The arrival of this unexpected visitor left everyone in a state of shock, their festivities momentarily forgotten. Wide-eyed and speechless, they watched as the radiant figure emerged from the light, its ethereal presence captivating their attention. The air crackled with a sense of anticipation, as if the world itself held its breath in awe of this extraordinary arrival. However, the true nature and purpose of this enigmatic visitor remained a mystery, shrouded in uncertainty. The scene was frozen in time, with whispers of speculation and trepidation circulating through the crowd. The joyous celebration now stood at a crossroads, its path veering into the realm of the unknown. As the golden light dissipated, revealing the figure within, a hushed silence fell over the crowd. The guests' eyes widened in astonishment as they beheld the sight before them, an orc unlike any they had ever encountered. His crimson skin stood out in stark contrast to his intricate white and blue tattoos that adorned his muscular physique. Tusks protruded from his mouth, and numerous piercings adorned his body, glinting ominously under the moonlight. The orc's eyes blazed with an otherworldly light, radiating an aura of power that sent shivers down the spines of those who stood in his presence. Without a second thought, Saber lunged forward, determined to end the life of this uninvited guest. But before Saber could even reach the orc, a powerful gust of wind erupted from the orc's body, sending the valiant warrior hurtling backward. The sheer force of the blast sent Saber flying off the island, his body crashing into the waters below. The destructive wind tore through the surroundings, obliterating everything in its path, causing chaos and throwing the remaining guests off balance. Michael, paralyzed with shock and disbelief, couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. He couldn't discern the orc's cultivation level, but the overwhelming power emanating from the orc was palpable, leaving Michael and the others in a state of trepidation. With an instinctive surge of protective energy, Michael swiftly stepped in front of Gaia, his eyes blazing with determination. Two dark beams shot forth from his gaze, cutting through the air with an ominous hiss. "Eladir, activate the runes," Michael commanded, his voice laced with urgency. In response to his command, the three portals, positioned at the edge of the island, burst into life, emanating a brilliant light that grew in intensity. A powerful pulling force gripped the guests, drawing them towards the portals against their will. The wedding scene was suddenly thrown into chaos as bewildered and frightened cries filled the air. "Everyone, hold on. We need to get out of here," Michael shouted, his voice barely audible above the turmoil. Shock and disbelief etched across the faces of the guests as they found themselves helpless, unable to resist the overwhelming power radiating from the enigmatic orc. The once jubilant atmosphere had been replaced with a sense of vulnerability and fear. In the midst of the pandemonium, Michael shielded Gaia, his beloved wife, with his own body, sheltering her from harm. His focus never wavered as he directed his dark beams toward the menacing orc, determined to confront this formidable foe head-on. The once joyous wedding scene was abruptly thrown into chaos as the power radiating from the orc engulfed the island. Gasps of astonishment filled the air as guests stumbled backward, their faces etched with shock and disbelief. "What the hell is happening?" Trista exclaimed, her voice trembling with fear. Tiberius, wide-eyed and bewildered, looked around in disbelief. "Who is this? Why can't I move?" Arya, her hands shaking, whispered in disbelief, "This power, it's overwhelming. We're completely powerless." Claire, her voice quivering, managed to utter, "Take Cindy and run to the portal." Gibson tightened his grip on Cindy's hand, his voice filled with urgency. "Stay close, Cindy. We need to find safety." Corey, his expression a mix of awe and fear, muttered, "This power, it's beyond anything I've ever witnessed." Optimus, his usually calm demeanor shattered, exclaimed, "No ordinary foe. Who is this orc?" The guests, overwhelmed by the immense power radiating from the orc, looked to Michael with a mixture of hope and desperation, realizing that their only chance lay in the strength and determination of the bride and groom. The fate of the wedding celebration hung precariously in the balance as the battle between light and darkness loomed ominously overhead. The once serene wedding scene transformed into a chaotic spectacle as the power radiating from the orc overwhelmed the island. The orc's imposing presence left everyone stunned and paralyzed with fear. The very atmosphere crackled with an otherworldly energy, causing hair to stand on end and sending shivers down the spines of those present. The orc's red-skinned visage, adorned with intricate tattoos and piercings, exuded an aura of dominance and malevolence. His glowing eyes bore into the crowd, relishing the fear that danced across their faces. Michael, shielding Gaia with his body, unleashed his dark beams upon the orc, hoping to subdue the intruder. The beams of darkness struck the orc's head, but to the shock of everyone, nothing happened. The orc remained unfazed, a smug smirk etched upon his lips, defying the powerful onslaught with disdain. Gaia, realizing the urgency of the situation, summoned her celestial bow and a quiver of ethereal arrows materialized by her side. Determination replaced the fear in her eyes as she stepped forward, ready to confront the menacing intruder. The bride, radiating a blend of grace and strength, prepared herself for the battle that now threatened to overshadow her wedding day. Amidst the chaos, guests stumbled and scrambled for cover, their movements hindered by the overpowering presence of the orc. Their attempts to rally against the intruder proved futile as the force emanating from the orc left them weak and powerless, their limbs heavy as if burdened by invisible chains. The once immaculate wedding venue now bore the scars of the chaotic upheaval. Tables and decorations lay in disarray, tossed aside by the gusts of wind that erupted from the orc's very being. The vibrant flowers that once adorned the aisle were trampled underfoot, petals scattered like remnants of a shattered dream. "Now, Eladir!" Michael shouted, his voice filled with urgency and determination. In response, Eladir clenched a golden crystal in his hand, crushing it with a resounding crack. As the crystal shattered, the pulling force emanating from the portals multiplied several folds, causing the air to tremble with their intensity. The portals, now unleashed with unprecedented power, surged with an insatiable hunger, greedily drawing everything in their path towards their swirling depths. The orc, his eyes fixed on Michael, proclaimed with a chilling certainty, "I am only here for the god of darkness." With a flick of his wrist, 3 figures materialized out of thin air before the orc. Among them stood Samuel, the gray-haired butler of the Winston family, his neatly combed hair contrasting with the chaos unfolding around him. The sight of Samuel stunned Michael, his mind reeling with the implications of the orc's words. But before Michael could react, the orc's lightning-quick movements outpaced his reflexes. In one swift motion, the orc seized Samuel by the neck, using the helpless butler as a shield. A malicious grin danced upon the orc's face as he directed Michael's own dark beams toward Samuel's head. Time seemed to slow as the dark beams pierced through Samuel's skull, shattering bone and unleashing a crimson spray of blood. The lifeless body crumpled to the ground, an innocent victim caught in the crossfire of this ruthless battle. Amidst the chaos, the scene unfolded with a stark contrast. On one side, the portals, their power amplified, exerted an irresistible force, tugging at everything in their path. Tables, chairs, and decorations were ripped from their positions, uprooted by the voracious pull. On the other side, a battle of immense power and stakes played out. Michael, shielded by darkness, stood alongside Gaia, his eyes filled with fury. The orc, a formidable adversary, remained resolute, his aura pulsating with a malevolent energy that rendered everyone around him weak and powerless. In this tumultuous clash between the forces of chaos and order, the island became a battleground of conflicting energies. The portals greedily devoured the surroundings, tearing apart the remnants of the once serene wedding scene. And amidst the swirling chaos, the battle between Michael and the orc raged on, with bloodshed and despair marking the unfortunate path they tread. The vampire death squad landed on the island with swift precision, their presence a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. They quickly assessed the situation, their red eyes scanning the tumultuous scene. Working together, they rallied the remaining guests, guiding them towards the portals that thrummed with an irresistible pull. Amidst the pandemonium, Michael's heart pounded with a desperate desire to save Gaia from the clutches of this immensely powerful foe. With determination etched on his face, he reached out and grasped Gaia's hand, his grip firm and resolute. With all his strength, he propelled her towards the nearest portal, his intention clear. But in the midst of the airborne journey towards the portal, Gaia's body moved with a swift fluidity. With a sudden twist, she knocked an arrow upon her bowstring and took aim at the orc, defying Michael's intention to guide her to safety. The tension in the air was palpable as Gaia's fingers released the arrow, its trajectory carrying it towards the orc with a lethal intent. In a display of godly speed, the possessed orc, fueled by Rudra's sliver of grace, dashed towards Michael with a swiftness that defied comprehension. The air crackled with anticipation as the orc's movements became a blur, evading Michael's punches and kicks with uncanny agility. Despite the orc's imposing size, it maneuvered with the grace of a predator, effortlessly eluding Michael's onslaught. The ground trembled beneath them as Michael's dark beams shot forth from his eyes, slicing through the earth with devastating precision. The surroundings bore the scars of their deadly power, split apart and rent in halves, a testament to the ferocity of the battle. But the orc, an embodiment of Rudra's divine essence, proved elusive, nimble in its evasion. Each blow was met with a deft sidestep, each kick evaded with a fluid movement that seemed to defy the laws of physics. In the midst of this violent ballet, the orc seized an opportunity, delivering a powerful punch to Michael's chest with an impact that sent him hurtling through the ground, the earth quaking beneath the force. Gaia's voice echoed through the chaos, her heartrending cry of "No," a testament to her anguish and determination. The air hung heavy with tension as the battle raged on, the clash of power and the stakes at hand becoming a swirling vortex of uncertainty. As agony surged through Michael's body, his advanced personal device, APD, around his wrist sensed his critical condition. With mechanical precision, the APD swiftly injected a potent healing potion into his bloodstream, mending his damaged organs and revitalizing his strength. Ignoring the lingering pain, Michael rose to his feet, determination etched across his face. With a fierce resolve, he lunged forward, his hands outstretched, and the dark swords materialized in his grip, crackling with ominous energy. The orc's lips curled into a menacing smirk as he taunted, his voice laced with a mix of curiosity and sadistic glee. "Let me see the infamous god of darkness in action. Show me what you're truly capable of." The power radiating from the orc, fueled by Rudra's sliver of grace, created an aura that disrupted the very fabric of magic around them. The teleportation scrolls, a potential escape route, faltered in their effectiveness, rendered useless in the face of this overwhelming force. Rudra, in his strategic cunning, did not want the god of darkness to slip away until the remaining two seal-bearers, who had materialized beside Samuel, were eliminated. In this charged moment of clash and determination, the readers witness Michael's resilience and unwavering resolve. They can feel the weight of the orc's taunts and the pulsating energy that surrounds them, drawing them deeper into the scene as the battle unfolds. With a swift and relentless assault, Michael swung his dark swords at the orc, determined to keep him at bay and away from Gaia. The blades sliced through the air with precision, but the orc's invisible force field proved impenetrable, rendering Gaia's arrows useless as they harmlessly bounced off the ethereal barrier. In a moment of triumph, Michael managed to land a shallow cut across the orc's chest, causing blood to spatter in the air. However, the strength of the orc's skin astonished Michael, as the wound appeared far less severe than anticipated. The orc's taunting laughter echoed through the chaos, further fueling Michael's determination. Suddenly, the orc's grip tightened around Michael's hand, restraining his movements. With his other hand outstretched, the orc reached for one of the remaining seal-bearers, a frail old man cloaked in dark brown fabric. In a cruel twist of fate, the old man was lifted effortlessly into the orc's colossal palm, his terrified gaze meeting Michael's. As the orc's power overpowered Michael's resistance, he helplessly watched as his own hand, guided by the orc's malevolent will, slashed across the seal-bearer's head. Blood erupted, painting a macabre scene of horror as the head was severed, the lifeless eyes staring into nothingness. The orc's triumphant voice reverberated through the chaotic battleground, chilling the air. 2 down, 1 to go. Overwhelmed by the orc's otherworldly strength, Michael felt as though he was battling a force beyond comprehension. Every move he made seemed feeble in comparison, as if pitted against an unstoppable entity. Chapter 993, Is She a God Too? With a wicked smile, the orc, now fully possessed by Rudra's sliver of grace, raised his hand to the sky, invoking the power of the gods. A golden lightning bolt crackled and materialized in his grasp, pulsating with immense energy. With a swift motion, he plunged the bolt deep into the ground, unleashing a cataclysmic explosion of raw power. The force of the explosion sent shockwaves rippling through the island, shattering the surroundings and throwing everyone into disarray. Gaia, caught in the midst of the chaos, plummeted from the sky, crashing violently onto the ground. Her vision blurred, a mixture of pain and disorientation gripping her as she struggled to regain her bearings. Through her hazy vision, Gaia glimpsed the orc, his speed unfathomable, closing in on Michael. The air crackled with malevolence as dark flames erupted from Michael's body, consuming everything in their path. The searing heat licked at the surroundings, devouring the once vibrant landscape in a dance of destruction. Gaia's heart pounded in her chest as she watched in horror, her voice lost amidst the chaos. The scene unfolded before her eyes with vivid intensity, each detail etched into her memory. The orc's savage charge, Michael engulfed in those dark, merciless flames. The dark flames roared with an insatiable hunger, engulfing the grassland surrounding Michael and Gaia. The intense heat radiated from the flames, raising the temperature to unbearable levels. The orc, its skin melting and bubbling under the scorching onslaught, seemed unfazed by the agony it should have been experiencing. Instead, a sinister snicker escaped its deformed mouth as it extended its hand towards the last remaining seal-bearer. The young man in white robes cried out in terror as the orc's hand closed around him, the searing heat of the dark flames seeping into his very being. His anguished screams pierced the air, a haunting testament to the merciless fate that awaited him. The dark flames consumed him relentlessly, reducing his form to a pile of hot ash, leaving nothing but remnants of his existence. As the life force of the third seal-bearer was extinguished, a sudden rumble echoed through the sky. For a fleeting moment, a crack tore open the sky, a glimpse into a realm beyond mortal comprehension. The crack shimmered with an otherworldly light, hinting at the immense power and consequence tied to the seal-bearer's demise. However, as quickly as it appeared, the crack closed, leaving behind only a sense of foreboding and uncertainty. The orc stood tall, its form grotesquely transformed as its skin melted away, revealing the raw skeletal structure beneath. In this macabre state, the orc raised its hands, bony fingers extended towards Michael. Countless golden lightning bolts crackled to life, surging forth with malevolent intent. Michael, recognizing the imminent danger, summoned a responsive shield around him. The shield, translucent and glowing with a vibrant blue hue, materialized just in time to intercept the incoming lightning bolts. However, the power behind the orc's attack proved overwhelming, as the bolts shattered the shield like fragile glass, penetrating through to strike Michael. Agony seared through Michael's body as the lightning coursed through his veins. Blood tainted the corners of his lips as he coughed it up, his strength waning with each passing moment. Paralysis gripped his limbs, rendering him helpless against the orc's relentless assault. With a chilling smirk, the orc raised its hand, exerting a force that pulled Michael closer. His feet dragged across the ground as he was lifted effortlessly by his neck, suspended in the grip of his merciless adversary. The acrid scent of burning grass mingled with the sickening odor of charred flesh, filling the air with a haunting reminder of the devastation surrounding them. The metallic tang of blood lingered, a testament to the violence that had unfolded on the island. As the orc's skin continued to melt away, revealing the gruesome sight of its skull, a grim and horrifying visage emerged. Its eye sockets held an otherworldly glow, and the lack of flesh on its face heightened the eeriness of its presence. Disappointment laced the orc's voice as it shook its skull-like head. Not impressed, it uttered, its voice laden with mockery. The grip around Michael's neck tightened, constricting his airway and leaving him gasping for precious breaths. Summoning his remaining strength, Michael called upon his dark swords. One of the swords began to levitate toward his outstretched arm, a last-ditch effort to regain control of the situation. However, the orc, swift and cunning, swatted the sword aside, redirecting its trajectory towards Gaia. The hilt of the sword struck Gaia with a resounding thud, knocking her unconscious before she could even rise to her feet. Panic and concern flashed in Michael's eyes as he gasped for air, his voice strained. "Who are you?" he managed to rasp, his words carrying a mixture of defiance and desperation. As Michael's thoughts raced, he knew that the time had come to initiate Plan D, the contingency he had devised for facing an adversary of insurmountable power. Just as the weight of the situation began to settle upon him, the sky above them rumbled with a newfound intensity, as if in response to his desperate plea. Amidst the stormy clouds, a golden light broke through the darkness, illuminating the scene with an ethereal glow. To their astonishment, the once turbulent sea surrounding the island turned eerily calm, contrasting the tumultuous skies above. With a thunderous boom, the golden light descended from the heavens, its brilliance fading gradually to reveal the figure of Nithroel, the Empress of Ar. Her golden locks billowed around her like a halo, and she stood adorned in intricately crafted golden armor that covered her from neck to toe. Every movement exuded an aura of divine power and grace, marking her as an otherworldly goddess. Soon, a golden bow materialized in her hand, emanating a radiant energy that seemed to pulse with ancient enchantments. As she pulled back the string, an arrow adorned with intricate runes materialized, poised to be released at her command. The mere sight of her presence instilled a sense of awe and reverence, for she embodied a force that transcended mortal comprehension. Nithroel's voice resonated with a commanding authority that seemed to shake the very foundations of the island. "Let him go, Rudra. Your fight lies somewhere else," she declared, her words echoing through the air and reaching every corner of the island. The power behind her voice carried a weight that commanded attention and respect. As her words hung in the air, a golden aura enveloped Nithroel, radiating from her being like a shield of divine energy. The orc, possessed by Rudra's sliver of grace, stared at her with a sliver of surprise emerging in his glowing eyes. The unexpected turn of events momentarily caught him off guard, questioning the path he had taken. The tension in the air was palpable as the Empress and the possessed orc locked eyes, each representing a formidable force in their own right. The outcome of this encounter held the potential to reshape the course of events, and the witnesses on the island stood frozen, captivated by the clash of powers unfolding before them. The orc, now barely recognizable as a humanoid figure, threw aside Michael's limp body and turned its attention fully towards Nithroel. The last shreds of skin clung to its smoking, charred body, as if defying the intense heat of the dark flames that consumed it. From the mouth of the orc, Rudra's voice resonated, carrying a mix of calmness, excitement, and a sliver of surprise. "I can see you've regained your grace, Nithroel, the goddess of hunt. How long has it been since we last saw each other?" The words flowed from Rudra with a calculated ease, as if he relished the encounter, savoring the chance to face his former ally. Nithroel responded to the orc, now possessed by Rudra, with a cold and stern tone. "Leave this realm, Rudra. You have no right to be here," she stated, her voice devoid of any warmth or sympathy. Her gaze remained fixed upon the deteriorating figure before her. Rudra's voice, still emanating from the orc, grew even calmer and more playful. "Slow down with the threats, Nithroel. Yes, you may have regained your grace, but you are not as strong as you used to be," he taunted. The excitement in his voice was tinged with a hint of superiority, as if he believed he held the upper hand. Nithroel's response was icy and resolute. "Perhaps I cannot defeat you in your true form, Rudra, but I can still overcome this vessel that holds your grace. And time is not on your side. The dark flames that consume your vessel will soon bring its demise," she retorted, her words carrying an unwavering determination. Rudra, his presence fading within the crumbling vessel, snickered with a mixture of amusement and satisfaction. "Ah, Nithroel, my task in this mortal realm is now complete. I have no mind to stay any longer," he remarked, his voice betraying a playful undertone. However, underlying his words was a genuine concern for the goddess standing before him. "Choose your side carefully, Nithroel," Rudra warned, his voice devoid of sympathy. "You wouldn't want to lose your grace once again." His words carried a subtle caution, a reminder of the consequences she might face if she aligned herself against the pantheon. Nithroel, her gaze unwavering, met Rudra's gaze with determination. "I have made my choice, Rudra," she declared with unwavering resolve. "I have left the pantheon and chosen to remain in the mortal realm. You needn't worry about me." Her response carried a resolute conviction, a statement that she had made her stand and was prepared to face the consequences of her decision. Though Rudra's concern for her was not evident in his voice, there was a flicker of admiration in his gaze, acknowledging the strength of her resolve. As the possessed orc's body crumbled to the ground, consumed by dark flames and reduced to a heap of smoldering ash, a golden light emerged from within. It shimmered and danced in the air, casting a soft glow upon the chaotic scene. Nithroel, her gaze fixed upon the dissipating light, watched as it slowly ascended towards the heavens, leaving the mortal realm behind. With a faint sigh of relief, she knew that Rudra's sliver of grace had departed, returning to its rightful place. The once vibrant wedding decorations now lay in ruins, charred and scattered across the grassy ground. The once jubilant atmosphere had been replaced by an eerie stillness, broken only by the soft crackling of smoldering embers. The bride and groom, their bodies sprawled motionless, were a stark contrast to the beauty they had exuded moments ago. Nithroel stepped cautiously over the remnants of shattered pillars and torn fabrics, her footsteps leaving imprints in the ash-covered ground. She approached the unconscious couple, her expression a mixture of concern and determination. With a gentle touch, she checked their pulses and found them to be faint but steady. A sense of relief washed over her as she realized that their lives had been spared in the midst of the chaos. Surveying the scene, Nithroel knew that there was much work to be done. The aftermath of this tumultuous encounter would not be easily forgotten. As Michael's consciousness slowly returned, he rose to his feet, his gaze immediately fixating on Gaia, lying unconscious nearby. With a mix of relief and concern etched on his face, he quickly made his way to her side, gently cradling her in his arms. Nithrol watched this intimate moment, understanding the depth of their connection and the strength it brought them. She respected their need for a moment of solace, a respite from the turmoil they had endured. But she also knew that there were questions to be answered, decisions to be made. As Michael's eyes met Nithrol's, she could see the weight of the recent events reflected in his gaze. The god of darkness, his presence formidable, acknowledged her with a nod, a silent recognition of the necessity to speak. Nithrol's voice, calm yet resolute, broke the silence. "We have much to discuss," she declared, her tone carrying a weight of urgency and purpose. Chapter 994, finally learning about Andor. As the wind howled and the darkened sky hinted at an impending storm, Michael and Gaia stood alongside Nithrol on the edge of the mountain where their paths had first crossed. The Empress of Aur gazed into the distance, her eyes seemingly carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. In the pregnant silence, it was Michael who finally broke the stillness, his voice laced with curiosity and a touch of apprehension. "Who are you really? And who was that attacker?" Nithrol turned her gaze towards Michael, her expression calm yet tinged with a profound understanding of the gravity of their situation. "That was Rudra, the god of war," she replied, the mere mention of his name coinciding with a distant rumble of thunder that echoed through the ominous sky. Gaia's astonishment was evident as she grappled with the realization that they had been targeted by a deity, and one associated with war no less. However, both she and Michael sensed that Rudra's intentions went beyond mere destruction and that he had manipulated Michael as a pawn in his game, forcing him to take the lives of 3 seal bearers, including the butler of the Winston family. With a hint of uncertainty, Michael posed a question that had lingered in his mind ever since their first encounter. "Are you also a god?" His eyes held a flicker of recognition, sensing an inherent power within Nithrol that surpassed that of ordinary mortals. Although her aura bore similarities to the possessed orc's energy, it seemed to radiate with a slightly lesser intensity. The atmosphere around them crackled with anticipation as they awaited Nithrol's response, seeking clarity amidst the chaotic events that had unfolded. "I was once a god, indeed. But now, I am but a fallen deity." Nithrol's voice carried a hint of melancholy that mirrored the sadness reflected in her eyes. Gaia, her frustration palpable, interjected with a grumble, "Why the hell did that bastard ruin our wedding? When did we piss off the god of war?" Meanwhile, Nithrol sighed, her gaze still fixed upon the distant horizon. "He did not attack you directly. He used your husband as a means to break the seals," Nithrol clarified. As a goddess, she possessed knowledge beyond mortal comprehension. She understood that if Rudra truly intended to kill Ghost, he could have done so. While killing a god's vessel would only result in their souls seeking a new host, there was no denying that Rudra's purpose was not to end Michael's mortal existence. Perhaps his intentions shifted upon encountering Nithrol, but it was evident that his aim had been to manipulate Michael into eliminating the seal bearers. "The seals?" Michael's brow furrowed in confusion. "Yes. In your previous life, you constructed an intricate array that acted as a barrier between the mortal realm and the realm of gods, preventing mortals from entering the divine domain and vice versa." Nithrol began to unravel the complexities of the situation. "Unbeknownst to you, these seals were embedded within individuals who were not even born during your previous self's time. Only you possess the power to break these seals by slaying the designated seal bearers. Each time a seal bearer dies, the barrier between our realms weakens. Once all the seals are broken, the gods will regain the ability to traverse freely between the mortal realm and the divine realm, as they did in the past." However, Nithrol herself remained unaware of the variations within the seals, specifically those designed by the previous Dark Lord and Elidar in their respective timelines. This explained how Diana, in Michael's timeline, managed to break one of the seals when she killed the seal bearer, Bai Ning. As Michael processed the weight of Nithrol's words, she continued to unravel the perilous web that entangled them all. The Pantheon has initiated their movements against Dagon, and now you find yourself caught in the crossfire of their war, Nithrol stated, her voice laced with concern. What you encountered was merely a sliver of Rudra's grace, a mere 1% of his full power. Consider, then, the unimaginable might wielded by an entire pantheon of gods and the vengeful god who desire to see you crumble. Michael and Gaia were left stunned, the mention of a vengeful god sending shivers down their spines. Unable to contain his curiosity, Michael posed the question that gnawed him. Who is this vengeful god? He inquired, his voice betraying a mix of apprehension and intrigue. Andor, the god of time and space, Nithrol replied, her gaze piercing their souls. My memories of him remain fragmented, but one thing remains certain: you cannot remain in this realm for much longer. The other fallen gods will soon regain their graces and seek you out. You are not yet prepared to face the wrath of the gods, and even I cannot aid you should more deities descend upon this realm. An array of questions swirled in Michael's mind, yet one in particular burned with intensity. Why are you helping me? Michael questioned, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. Nithrol's eyes softened, her gaze holding a flicker of determination. I cherish ruling the mortal realm, Ghost, she confessed. But the Pantheon seeks to transform mortals into their slaves. Once they arrive in this realm, each god will demand unwavering devotion and worship from mortals. Those who dare defy them will be made examples of, and gradually, this realm will devolve into a vast slave market, devoid of free will and consumed by blind loyalty. The only thing that preventing this grim fate is the barrier between the two realms. As Nithrol's words resonated within him, Michael recalled a haunting dream he once had, a glimpse of a world devoid of free will, where people existed as mere puppets. He couldn't help but wonder if that nightmarish vision was a consequence of the Pantheon's rule over the mortal realm. The weight of their predicament settled upon them like a suffocating fog, casting their future into uncertainty. The path ahead was treacherous, fraught with danger and the impending wrath of gods. With their newfound knowledge and the stakes laid bare before them, Michael, Gaia, and Nithrol stood on the precipice of a fateful journey, their destinies intertwined in the grand tapestry of divine machinations and mortal resistance. But the barrier that your former self created is weakening, and only you possess the power to reinforce it, Nithrol explained, her voice filled with urgency. You must grow stronger and prepare to confront the gods, Ghost. Dagon cannot indefinitely divert the attention of the Pantheon. Michael's brows furrowed as he contemplated the mention of Dagon, the infamous ruler of Hell. So, Dagon is also a fallen god? Gaia interjected, seeking clarification. Nithrol nodded in confirmation. Among mortals, you are already formidable with your half-celestial cultivation stage. However, the power of the gods resides on an entirely different plane. You must transcend the limitations of the celestial stage. Do not step foot into this world until you have done so, Nithrol advised, her tone resolute. As Nithrol spoke, Gaia's voice quivered with uncertainty. Where should we go? Aidonis. The fallen gods cannot reach you there, Nithrol replied, conjuring images of the vibrant, neon-lit forests of Aidonis and the loyal wood elves who inhabited its realms. I will go there once I gather the others at the castle, Michael stated, but Nithrol swiftly shook her head. No, Andor must have already learned of recent events and will be plotting his next move to hinder your path to Aidonis. Time is of the essence, and you cannot afford to waste a moment. You must depart now. I will do everything within my power to safeguard the others, but the odds are undeniably stacked against us, Ghost. Nithrol's voice grew intensely serious. Gaia pleaded, her voice filled with concern, at least let me bring my mother. Nithrol shook her head in response. My people are already on their way to ensure the safety of your mother and the others. Nithrol's words abruptly halted as her gaze shifted towards the distant sky, her focus returning to Michael once again. Go now, Nithrol urged, her voice carrying a sense of imminent danger. She swiftly gestured with her hands, summoning a golden portal that materialized in the air before them. Feeling the urgency in the goddess' words, Michael tightly grasped Gaia's hand and guided her toward the shimmering vortex. However, before stepping into the swirling portal, he turned back to face Nithrol, his eyes filled with curiosity. Why would you risk yourself to help me, Nithrol? Your assistance puts you in grave danger, Michael questioned, his voice tinged with both gratitude and concern. A gentle smile curved Nithrol's lips as she met his gaze. By aligning myself with you, Ghost, I stand a chance of maintaining my dominion over the mortal realm. If the Pantheon emerges victorious, we all suffer the consequences, she replied, her tone resolute. Raising her hand, Nithrol unleashed a sudden gust of wind, propelling Michael and Gaia forward, propelling them forcefully into the awaiting portal. The ethereal gateway closed behind them, leaving Nithrol behind. In that fleeting moment, as Michael and Gaia disappeared into the unknown, Nithrol stood tall, her golden hair dancing in the wind. With unwavering determination, she prepared to face the oncoming storm, knowing that her alliance with Michael carried the weight of both their destinies and the fate of the mortal realm itself. With a swift and fluid motion, Nithrol summoned her golden bow, a gleaming masterpiece crafted with intricate detail. Her grip tightened around the polished wood as she notched an arrow, its tip adorned with ancient runes of power. Drawing the bowstring back, she took aim at the distant sky, her eyes locked onto the approaching figures of the fallen gods. A surge of divine energy coursed through her, heightening her senses and honing her focus. The arrow she released soared through the air, defying mortal limitations as it streaked across the vast expanse with unerring accuracy. It traversed a tremendous distance, seemingly defying both time and space. As the arrow cut through the air, a tempest began to brew, dark clouds rolling in to amplify the brewing chaos. Thunder rumbled in the heavens, their ominous roars echoing through the land. Nature itself seemed to respond to Nithrol's presence, lending its power to her as she prepared to face the fallen gods. Standing tall and resolute, the Empress of Ar remained steadfast in the face of imminent danger. Her golden armor shimmered in the fading light, radiant and unyielding. With every passing moment, the storm grew fiercer, the elements aligning with her purpose. Nithrol knew the odds were stacked against her, confronting a pantheon of formidable adversaries. Yet, she refused to back down, her determination unshakable. The goddess of Hunt stood as a beacon of defiance, ready to challenge the encroaching darkness with all her might. As the fallen gods drew closer, their powerful presence palpable, Nithrol braced herself for the impending clash. She would fight for the preservation of the mortal realm, for the freedom of its inhabitants, and for the hope that her alliance with Michael would pave the way for a future untainted by the tyranny of the Pantheon. We are nearing 1,000 chapters and I can't thank you all my wonderful readers for keep supporting me. Chapter 995, Returning to Aidenes. Chapter 995. Returning to Aidenes. As Michael and Gaia emerged from the portal onto the land of Aidenes, a breathtaking panorama unfolded before them. Gaia's eyes widened in awe as she took in the enchanting sight that lay stretched out beneath her. They stood atop a verdant mountain peak, overlooking a vast expanse of lush forests that extended as far as the eye could see. The forest itself seemed to be an artist's canvas, splashed with vibrant hues of purple and blue. It was a kaleidoscope of colors that blended seamlessly, creating an otherworldly spectacle. Giant trees towered over the landscape, their trunks adorned with intricate patterns and ethereal glow. The forest floor was carpeted with lush, emerald-green moss, adding a softness to the terrain. Towering mushrooms, their caps adorned with mesmerizing patterns, dotted the forest floor, creating a whimsical ambience. As Gaia's gaze wandered further, she caught sight of trees that radiated a gentle, luminescent glow, casting a soft and enchanting light that illuminated the surroundings. These radiant trees bathed the forest in an otherworldly glow, adding an ethereal touch to the already mesmerizing landscape. The air was filled with the gentle fluttering of giant butterflies, their wings adorned with iridescent colors that shimmered as they danced through the air. Their presence added a touch of magic to the already captivating scene. The forest of Aidenes seemed like a place plucked from a fairy tale, a realm where dreams and reality intertwined. Its beauty was captivating, an immersive experience that stirred the senses and transported one to a world of wonder and enchantment. In that moment, as the gentle breeze caressed her cheeks and the symphony of the forest serenaded her ears, Gaia knew that Aidenes was a place of refuge, a sanctuary from the turmoil that awaited them. "Come on, we should go meet Elidor," Michael said, surprising Gaia. "Elidor?" But I thought he was stuck back in our world, Gaia replied, her confusion evident. No, in case of an attack, I gave Elidor something to teleport into this world with, Michael explained, glancing at his wrist. Unfortunately, his battle with Rudra had broken his Olympus, leaving him without the ability to fly or use his cultivation in this world. However, Michael had a quick solution in mind. Do you know where to go? My Olympus is not broken, Gaia remarked, hopeful. Before Michael could respond, a magnificent golden giant butterfly emerged from the air below the mountain cliff they stood on, accompanied by a powerful gust of wind. Gaia's eyes widened in astonishment as two elves with beautiful brown skin gracefully descended from the butterfly and immediately knelt before Michael. My lord, you have returned, Taskin said, bowing his head respectfully. Gaia, meet Taskin and Filv. Michael introduced the two wood elves to Gaia, acknowledging their loyalty and courage during the events he had shared with her. Ah, the two warriors who fought against the Sky Hall, Gaia remembered, recalling the tales Michael had shared. Tell me, Taskin, has anyone else arrived here before us? Michael inquired, his curiosity piqued. Filv and Taskin nodded in response. Yes, my lord. He claimed to have been sent by you and showed us your symbol. We left him back at the village, Taskin reported dutifully. Good. Then let's make our way to your village. We have much to do, Michael declared, gesturing for Gaia to join him atop the butterfly. With a swift leap, Gaia gracefully climbed onto their ride, her torn and dirted dress contrasting against her natural beauty. Michael stepped onto the butterfly's wings and waited for Taskin and Filv to take hold of the reins. Once everyone had settled comfortably atop the giant golden butterfly, they set off toward the village. As the majestic butterfly soared through the air, the wind rushed past them, carrying with it the scent of flowers and the distant melody of birds singing. The landscape unfolded beneath them, showcasing the enchanting beauty of Idanes. Butterflies of all sizes and hues fluttered around, their graceful wings adding splashes of brilliance to the scenery. The air itself felt alive, carrying the invigorating aroma of blossoms and the sweet fragrance of nature's abundance. As the golden butterfly gradually descended, it skillfully navigated through the dense canopy of the forest. Gaia marveled at the sight that unfolded before her. The Wood Elves' village was a marvel of engineering and natural beauty, built high above the ground, nestled among the majestic trees. Intricate stairs, woven with ropes and sturdy wood, gracefully interconnected the village houses and each towering tree. The architecture seamlessly blended with nature, utilizing the branches as support beams and allowing the trees to continue their growth undisturbed. The elevated walkways provided a sense of enchantment as they wound their way through the lush foliage, creating an intricate web of interconnected pathways. At the heart of the village, a spacious clearing awaited them. Gaia's eyes widened as she took in the sight of a magnificent statue depicting Michael and Vidora sitting atop his shoulder, meticulously carved from wood. The craftsmanship was impeccable, capturing the essence of their strength and unity. The statue stood tall and proud, serving as a symbol of hope and reverence for the Wood Elves. Just before the statue, a grand throne had been placed, meticulously crafted from the finest wood, its intricate designs paying homage to nature's beauty. The throne awaited Michael's return, a seat of honor for the one who had brought them salvation and protection. As the golden butterfly gracefully landed in the clearing, Gaia's gaze shifted toward the awaiting Wood Elves. They stood there, dressed in vibrant garments that mirrored the colors of the surrounding forest, holding baskets filled with an array of freshly picked flowers. Their eyes gleamed with anticipation and gratitude, for they had been eagerly awaiting Michael's return. With smiles on their faces, the Wood Elves approached, gently placing the flowers from their baskets at Michael's feet. The air was filled with a delicate fragrance as if nature itself had released its essence in celebration of their arrival. Gaia was moved by the genuine warmth and joy emanating from the Wood Elves. It was evident that Michael's presence held great significance for them, as he represented their protector, their leader, and their hope for a brighter future. As Michael stood among the Wood Elves, his gaze fell upon Taskin and Filv, who were bringing Elidor towards him. Elidor, still wearing his once golden robes that were now muddied and torn from his escape, looked worn and weary. He had journeyed through the portal, passing through the forge in Demon's Grave and utilizing a special teleportation scroll that Michael had provided. The three of them, Michael, Elodor, and Gaia, wore solemn expressions, their minds still reeling from the events that had transpired during their wedding. It was unfathomable to them that a god had appeared and attacked Michael, manipulating his hands to strike down 3 seal-bearers. As Michael surveyed the village, his eyes scanning for someone in particular, he finally spoke up, addressing Tazkin. "Tazkin, where is Kirat?" Michael inquired, searching for the village elder he had encountered before. Tazkin and the others exchanged glances, a flicker of sadness briefly crossing their eyes. "He has passed away, my lord," Phil replied with a somber tone. Michael sighed inwardly, acknowledging the loss of the old man, and silently wished for him to find peace. "Now, Tazkin, Phil, if you could leave us for a moment," Michael requested, his voice carrying a tone of seriousness. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Tazkin and Phil bowed and discreetly gestured for the villagers to give them some privacy. As the villagers departed, Gaia sank down onto the throne, feeling the weight of recent events. She took a deep breath, preparing herself for what was to come. "What's the plan?" Gaia asked, her voice filled with determination. In response, Michael accessed his system's storage and retrieved 2 golden parchments. "If we are to return to our world as soon as possible and face these gods head-on, we need everyone ready and prepared," Michael explained. However, Elodor's brow furrowed upon hearing the mention of gods. Although he had come across brief references to the realm of gods in ancient texts, his knowledge on the matter was limited. Observing Elodor's perplexed expression, Michael proceeded to share all the information Mithril had disclosed, including the startling revelation that the renowned Empress of Ar was, in fact, a fallen god. After comprehending the information shared by Michael, Elodor found himself stunned. The revelation that Michael was entangled in a war between the Pantheon and Dagon, a fallen god turned ruler of Hell, was a shock in itself. Curiosity gnawed at Elodor as he voiced his question, seeking understanding. "Why do these fallen gods wish to fight you? Are they also under the influence of the Sky Hall?" he inquired. Gaia echoed Elodor's sentiment, expressing her own confusion. "I'm wondering the same thing," she chimed in. Michael pondered their inquiries, his mind analyzing the situation. "If I'm correct, these fallen gods were living among us as mortals. So if we have angered them in some way, they may seek retribution now that they have regained their graces somehow," he explained. "That 4-handed monstrosity must have something to do with all of this," she growled, her thoughts consumed by the fallen god's presence. Gaia's frustration flared as she mentioned the 4-handed monstrosity known as Dagon. Michael concurred, his gaze focused on the bigger picture. "We still lack a clear understanding of these fallen gods and how to confront them. However, until I ascend to higher levels of godhood, our options will remain limited," he stated. Gaia rose from the throne, joining Michael's side. Her concern for his safety was evident as she spoke. "But you can't face the gods alone, and we, as mortals, won't stand a fucking chance against them, even if we reach the celestial stage," she said, emphasizing the need for assistance in the upcoming battles. Elodor, observing the interaction, knew that Michael always had plans in motion. Despite the unexpected appearance of a god, which caught everyone off guard, Michael had contingency plans in place. These plans facilitated the escape of his subordinates from the island and even included strategies to confront death itself. "That's why I insist on rallying all our forces," Michael declared, lifting one of the parchments to display a map labeled with the name Idanes on one part. "This parchment contains valuable insights that will aid me in advancing to higher stages of godhood," he continued. Then, he raised the second parchment, which exclusively depicted a map of the outside world. "And this one," Michael added, "holds the knowledge of energy deposits that can expedite your path to the celestial stage, along with the others." Gaia and Elodor remained unaware of the information Michael had received from the system. It provided him with instructions on how to empower his subordinates to combat the gods. Although his subordinates still had a long way to go before challenging formidable deities like the god of war, the system could enhance their abilities enough to contend with weaker gods. However, The system cautioned Michael that his subordinates were not to face the gods and should avoid direct confrontations with gods at all costs. Yet, it also assured him that once they stepped into the realm of gods, the potential for growth and strengthening through various items and tasks would be boundless. With the mortal realm now under the dominion of fallen gods, Michael recognized the urgency of developing a formidable force to combat them. To achieve this, he and his subordinates needed to venture into the realm of gods, and more importantly, he needed to pave the way. Gaia took the map from Michael's hand and carefully studied its contents before redirecting her attention to him. But what about the fallen gods? Nithroel warned us against returning to our world until we grow stronger, Gaia voiced her concerns. You won't be able to grow stronger while being stuck in this world, Michael replied. Curiosity tinged Gaia's question as she sought clarification. So, what are you suggesting we do? She inquired. Michael took a moment to gather his thoughts before responding. You need to return to our world, maintain a low profile, and search for these energy deposits. Utilize them to enhance your own strength while evading any encounters with the fallen gods. Soon, I will acquire a means to conceal your presence from them temporarily, he explained. The system had hinted that it would reactivate once Michael located another seed of darkness. With that reactivation, he could acquire a skill or rune to shield Gaia's aura from the prying eyes of the fallen gods and safely send her back to the outside world. Good. I want to go on my own, Gaia stated, leaving Elidor taken aback. It hadn't even been a day since they exchanged vows, and now she expressed a desire to part ways. Elidor's face darkened, his emotions entwined with confusion and concern. Gaia quickly began to explain herself, aware of the impact her decision might have on Elidor. After facing that tiny fraction of the god's power and getting my ass kicked, I know it'll only weigh him down, she began, her voice filled with determination. The places he's about to venture into will undoubtedly be filled with threats that I, unfortunately, can't handle. Sticking by his side would not only make me useless, but it could also make me a liability, even a potential hostage against him. However, if I return to the outside world, I can make a tangible difference and provide real assistance. As much as I hate leaving his side, it's our best option at this moment. Time is precious, and every minute we waste is a minute our enemies have to grow stronger, Gaia concluded, her conviction shining through her words. Michael let out a sigh of relief, grateful that Gaia understood the situation so well. He knew that sending her off alone carried its own risks, but he also recognized the greater peril involved in obtaining the seeds of darkness. Moreover, once he stepped into the realm of gods, he would become the primary focus of the pantheon, unlike the current situation where their attention was primarily fixed on Dagon. In due time, if Gaia hadn't attained sufficient strength to battle the gods, she could be used against him, placing her life in even greater danger. Chapter 996, Andor's plan has failed. In the midst of the unexpected turn of events, Michael saw an opportunity to transform the situation into something advantageous, as he had always done. After explaining his plan to Elidor and Gaia, he led them into an empty cabin where Elidor had been kept upon his arrival. As Gaia entered the dimly lit room, her eyes widened in shock and surprise at the sight that greeted her, two majestic suits of armor standing before her. I had hoped to present this to you under different circumstances, but now you need it more than ever, Michael said, his voice steady and determined. Stepping closer to the armor he had specifically crafted for Gaia, Michael gently took her hand and guided it to rest upon the chest plate. The moment her hand made contact with the armor, she felt a faint vibration coursing through it. Gradually, the individual pieces of the armor began to shift and separate, creating an opening for Gaia to step inside. With a simple flick of her hand, Gaia's clothing transformed into sleek black robes, perfectly matching the armor. Stepping into the waiting armor, she felt a peculiar sensation as the pieces enveloped her, fitting snugly against her form. Gaia couldn't help but be amazed at how the armor seemed to meld seamlessly with her body, granting her an extraordinary sense of connection. With a mere thought, she commanded the armor to encompass her head, and in an instant, the helmet formed, concealing her face behind an imposing black skull visage. Eager to explore the capabilities of her newfound armor, Gaia took a confident step forward, mentally urging the armor to unveil its hidden attributes. Responding to her intentions, the once billowing black cape attached to her robes disappeared from sight, seamlessly integrating into the armor. Then, to Gaia's astonishment, magnificent metal wings sprouted from her back, their surfaces gleaming in the soft candlelight of the cabin. This armor, wow, it's just perfect. Overwhelmed by the sheer magnificence of her armor, Gaia found herself at a loss for words, standing in awe as Michael, too, stepped into his own suit. The armor embraced him seamlessly, fitting him perfectly as he moved forward, testing its functionality with clenched fists. With a swift motion of his hand, Michael summoned his dark swords, which effortlessly slid into the scabbards integrated into the back of his armor. Satisfied with the smoothness of the sheathing, Michael cracked his neck and turned his gaze back to Gaia, ready to embark on their impending journey. "Let's go. We'll be setting off soon," Michael announced. With Gaia trailing behind him in her newfound armor, Michael exited the cabin with a plan to become the god he was meant to be. Michael stood at the center of the clearing, his voice resonating like thunder as he called out for Thilv and Taskin. The two wood elves swiftly made their way to him, their eyes widening in astonishment at the sight of Michael and Gaia donned in their magnificent black armor. Gaia received the map containing energy deposits, while Michael held the map containing the seeds of darkness. "My lord," Thilv and Taskin bowed respectfully upon reaching him, still captivated by the regal presence of Michael and Gaia. "Taskin, Thilv, I'd like you to meet Gaia." "My wife," Michael introduced Gaia, the wood elves quickly surmising the connection between the two. "It is our utmost honor and blessing to be in your presence, my lady," Taskin and Thilv expressed their reverence. "As long as you serve us with loyalty, prosperity shall be your constant companion," Gaia responded graciously. Michael then opened the map, directing their attention to a specific area in Itenes. Thilv and Taskin leaned in, studying the map intently before returning their gaze to Michael, awaiting further instruction. "My lord, if you permit, we have something to show you," Taskin spoke, to which Michael nodded in agreement. The two wood elves hurried to their houses and returned with a large leaf, serving as a makeshift parchment. They presented a map drawn on the dried blue leaf, which surprised Michael. "After your departure, my lord, we expanded our scouting range and meticulously mapped the surroundings. The location you mentioned houses a Sky Hall outpost, and according to messengers from the mountain tribe," Taskin began explaining. "Fucking assholes," Gaia interjected, her disdain for the Sky Hall soldiers evident. "Do you have any knowledge of their activities in that area?" Eladir inquired. "No, my lord. The place is heavily fortified, and any attempt to infiltrate would result in certain slaughter," Taskin confessed. Michael had hoped to obtain a seed of darkness without engaging in combat against the Sky Hall soldiers. However, with the realization that Sky Hall forces surrounded the nearest seed of darkness, he had no alternative but to confront them head-on. "Theta M, how many of these outposts have you discovered in your world?" Gaia asked. "To date, we have encountered 15 outposts, my lady. However, we suspect there are more concealed within the forest and uncharted territories of our world," Taskin revealed. "Eladir, remain here with them and fortify the village to the best of your abilities. Use the arch crystals if necessary," Michael issued his instructions to Eladir, placing emphasis on the importance of protecting the village. He then stored the map back in his system storage. "These Sky Hall soldiers possess something that belongs to me, and I must retrieve it," Michael stated with a grave tone, conveying the seriousness of the situation. Turning his attention to Thilv and Taskin, Michael continued, "You two remain here and continue scouting. But refrain from engaging the Sky Hall soldiers directly. If they are establishing an outpost, they must have ulterior motives, and I want to know their plans." "Yes, my lord," Thilv and Taskin acknowledged in unison. As Michael unfurled his wings, he and Gaia took to the sky, ascending with a single powerful flap. Another flap propelled them forward, soaring towards the Sky Hall outpost. During the flight, Michael's thoughts were consumed by Nithrol's words, particularly the mention of Andor, the god of time and space. It was apparent that Andor harbored a deep-seated grudge against Michael, likely due to the previous Dark Lord's grievous actions. Michael couldn't help but question why Andor had yet to launch a direct attack against him. Perhaps Andor had already struck, but Michael had failed to recognize it. The presence of the shadow force working against him further fueled his suspicion of Andor's involvement. Regardless, Michael understood the importance of familiarizing himself with the gods, especially Andor, as it was a vital first step towards defeating his adversaries. Back on Andor's castle, resting upon his throne in deep contemplation, a profound frown etched upon his face, Andor observed the events unfolding on the island where the god of darkness, his sworn enemy, had held his wedding, only to be interrupted by Rudra, the god of war, his another enemy. Damn it! Andor's hand struck the armrest of his throne in an outburst of anger. As he pondered the motives behind Rudra's actions, the ethereal form of Seraphine materialized before him, her appearance seemingly too coincidental to be unrelated to the events that had transpired. The air in the castle turned icy, and Andor's gaze grew colder, radiating a palpable sense of murderous intent. "What have you done, Seraphine?" Andor's voice reverberated throughout the castle walls, laced with a chilling disdain. "We have done what should have been done long ago, Andor. The barrier has weakened, allowing the Pantheon to send their armies to confront Dagon in his realm of hell, where he holds dominion." Andor's voice resonated with a frigid and merciless tone, tinged with bitter sarcasm and anger towards the Pantheon's perceived foolishness. "Your Skyhall army shall face the Hell Walkers in the realm in between, while the Pantheon's forces confront Dagon in hell. Although we had not anticipated Dagon unleashing the graces, it has inadvertently worked in our favor. With the aid of the fallen gods, we can crush the Hell Walkers and eradicate any remaining influence of the Dark Lord in the mortal realm," Seraphine explained. However, as the goddess of information, a sense of unease gnawed at her, for everything seemed unnaturally smooth and advantageous, raising suspicions deep within her. "And have you ever questioned why Dagon released the graces, despite knowing the consequences it would bring upon him?" Andor's voice grew colder still, his desire to remain seated upon his throne waning as he fought against the urge to obliterate everything in his sight. "Do you comprehend why I have not commanded my minions to gather all the seal-bearers and forced the Dark Lord to slay them? Did you truly believe that the Dark Lord had not considered the possibility of us amassing the seal-bearers, allowing his own reincarnation to eliminate them and shatter the barrier? Do you believe it to be that simple?" Seraphine offered no response as Andor pounded the throne once more before rising to his feet, his anger and frustration simmering beneath the surface. "Tell me, Serpahine, did you know Rudra was going to crash the wedding and make the Dark Lord kill the 3 seal-bearers on the same time?" Andor's question hung in the air, punctuated by a heavy silence that enveloped them. After a brief moment, Seraphine nodded, confirming his suspicion. "Yes," she responded softly. "Then you doomed yourselves in the Pantheon." Andor's laughter echoed through the chamber, tinged with a mix of anger and frustration. "What do you mean?" "Enough with the secrecy, Andor. If you possess additional knowledge regarding the barrier, you must share it with us," Seraphine growled, her own frustration boiling over from being kept in the dark by Andor. "I remain secretive because I know that you and the rest of the Pantheon would only interfere with my plans. However, I never expected you to be so foolish as to seek the assistance of Rudra, a mindless brute," Andor shouted, his voice reverberating through the halls as the castle trembled beneath his fury. "He must have orchestrated it all, foreseeing this outcome," Andor muttered, his fists clenched tightly as he brooded upon the god of darkness and his intricate schemes. "I established the Skyhall to serve as his primary adversary, the ultimate nemesis in his life. Prior to your imbecilic revelation of the god's existence, he believed that the Skyhall was his sole enemy. He would have annihilated them and lived blissfully ignorant of the realm of gods. During that time, we could have sought a permanent means to eliminate him, or better yet, allowed Noah, his own brother, to be his executioner. And if Noah had failed, we could have struck him down when he was weakened. The opportunities were limitless when he believed he had no adversaries. A lion is most vulnerable when its hunger is sated." Andor's voice reverberated with anger as he explained the intricacies of his thwarted plans. The Pantheon and Seraphine had underestimated the god of darkness and their short-sightedness had ruined everything. In their eyes, Dagon posed the greatest threat, unaware of the imminent danger the god of darkness represented to the Pantheon. But now, he is once again on the prowl. He now knows that there exists a realm beyond mortals, a realm of gods. He is aware of the existence of other gods apart from his own brother. And thanks to Rudra's assault on his wedding, he now sees the gods and the pantheon as his enemies. If you believe Dagon to be a formidable adversary, think again when the god of darkness aligns himself with Dagon, decimating the pantheon's army without mercy. Andor's fury grew as he still couldn't fathom the pantheon's foolishness in revealing themselves and engaging in conflict with the god of darkness. And by slaying the 3 seal bearers on the same day, you have inadvertently created a breach in the barrier, allowing him to traverse between the realm of gods and retain his immense power, Andor bellowed. Typically, when a mortal attains the celestial stage, they are drawn into the realm of gods and transformed into worshippers, devoid of their own power. The barrier erected by the previous Dark Lord prevented mortals from reaching this stage. However, Andor knew that the previous Dark Lord had orchestrated this to ensure his own reincarnation would be the first to ascend to the celestial stage, exploring the realm of gods and safeguarding mortals from becoming mindless devotees of the pantheon. For centuries, Andor meticulously crafted the facade of the Sky Hall as the arch-nemesis of the current Dark Lord, keeping him blissfully unaware while Andor plotted his revenge in the shadows. He had diligently concealed the existence of the realm of gods from the Dark Lord, but his plan had now crumbled. Through the simultaneous slaying of the 3 seal bearers, a fissure in the barrier emerged, preventing the realm of gods from stripping the Dark Lord of his power. As a last resort, if the Dark Lord were to discover the realm of gods and embark on a journey driven by curiosity, he would have entered as a humble divine being, void of his powers. However, due to the recent turn of events, he would now step into the realm of gods as a fully fledged god. How do you possess this knowledge? Seraphine inquired, her curiosity piqued. As the goddess of information, even she had limited understanding of the barrier and its intricacies. And yet, Andor, who had been confined to his castle for the past 5 millennia, seemed to have acquired a greater understanding of the barrier than any other god in the pantheon. I am the fucking god of time and space, Andor declared with emphasis. For the past 5,000 years, I have devoted every moment to studying the barrier and delving into the mind of the god of darkness. Suddenly, Andor burst into boisterous laughter, a sudden shift from his previous demeanor that caught Seraphine off guard. Why are you laughing? Seraphine inquired, perplexed by his sudden change in behavior. Because now, the pantheon must work their asses off to find a means to free me from this castle, Andor chuckled. As I am your only hope in saving the pantheon from his impending wrath. Chapter 997, Making Gods. After Andor's initial plan had failed due to the pantheon's hasty decision-making and their limited knowledge of the god of darkness' true threat, Andor had to resort to his backup plan. It was understandable that the pantheon underestimated the god of darkness, as they had witnessed firsthand the devastation caused by Dagon, unlike the god of darkness who had reset the universe before engaging in a full-scale war against the pantheon. However, as the god of time and space, Andor was well aware of the formidable power possessed by the god of darkness. Back in Saelsis Castle, she entered a brightly illuminated hall, clutching 2 glass cubes in her hands. These cubes housed radiant orbs of light that emitted a pulsating, immense energy. Carrying the cubes, Salisi proceeded towards a set of glass tubes where Evan and Alara Valran lay submerged in a shimmering silver liquid. They were unconscious, connected to various small tubes that extended into their bodies. Outside the glass tubes, a control panel adorned with glowing runes had been constructed. A figure was busy adjusting the tubes and tinkering with the intricate mechanisms, gears, and bolts as Salisi approached Evan and Alara. How's the progress, Hammond? Salisi inquired, her gaze fixed on the young man who had been working on the intricate mechanisms. Hammond stood up and turned around, his eyes immediately drawn to the 2 glass cubes in Saelsis' hands. He instinctively reached out towards the pulsating energy, but Salisi swiftly intervened, preventing him from touching the glass cubes. Hammond snapped out of his daze, appearing stunned. They are indeed, Salisi confirmed, acknowledging Hammond's unspoken question. However, she restrained him from making contact with the cubes. Hammond seemed taken aback by the realization. They are prepared, my lady. I just need a few moments to calibrate the energy valves. But I must warn you again, I haven't tested this contraption, and I can't guarantee its functionality, Hammond cautioned. Among the various peculiar inventions he had crafted for Celice, the energy transfer device was the most hazardous and volatile. It boasted an intricate array of runes and mechanisms, challenging even his brilliant mind to fully comprehend. It will work, Hammond, Celice asserted with unwavering confidence. The design of this contraption had been bestowed upon her by a god, and in her experience, the god had never faltered. However, Celice opted to keep the existence of this deity concealed from her mortal followers. Acknowledging Celice's assurance, Hammond cautiously extended his trembling hands. Finally, Celice handed him the glass cubes containing 2 graces, one for Evan and another for Elara. Since these graces did not originally belong to Evan and Elara, who were mere mortals, Celice understood that time and the proper utilization of the contraption were essential for the graces to settle within their mortal vessels. With the Dark Lord banished from the mortal realm, Celice knew she had all the time necessary to execute her plan. Hammond carefully positioned the 2 glass cubes, each containing a grace, into the hollow spaces on the dashboard adjacent to the tubes where Elara and Evan were submerged. As he gently released his grip, a mesmerizing phenomenon unfolded before their eyes. The contraption, with its intricate mechanisms and glowing runes, seemed to come alive as it eagerly embraced the presence of the graces. With a soft whir, the contraption activated, and the hollow spaces magnetically drew in the glass cubes. The valves on the contraption's surface lit up in a symphony of vibrant colors, resembling a celestial dance. Liquids of various hues and viscosities gracefully flowed through the interconnected tubes, converging into the heart of the contraption. Soon, a golden liquid, shimmering like liquid sunlight, coursed through the tubes attached to Evan and Elara, delicately entering their unconscious bodies. It was a sight of otherworldly beauty as the golden liquid traveled through the intricate network of tubes, following its predetermined path with precision. The flow of life-giving energy slowly awakened dormant parts of their beings, infusing them with the essence of the graces. Hammond suppressed his fears and nodded in agreement. There was no turning back now. The fate of Evan, Elara, and their realm rested in the delicate balance of the contraption's intricate dance. The contraption itself seemed alive with energy, flickering and humming in synchrony with the life force coursing through its veins. Sparks danced around the intricate machinery, casting an ethereal glow in the room. It was a testament to the raw power harnessed within the contraption, a fusion of mortal ingenuity and divine guidance. Hammond, witnessing the extraordinary display before him, couldn't help but feel a twinge of apprehension. The sheer complexity and untested nature of the contraption raised concerns within him, questioning whether they should proceed. He hesitated, his gaze shifting between the flickering contraption and Celice, who stood nearby. Perhaps we should reconsider, my lady, Hammond finally voiced his concerns, his voice tinged with worry. This contraption is untested, and the risks, Celice, however, exuded an unwavering calmness and confidence. She understood the magnitude of their endeavor and the consequences of failure. With a serene expression, she interrupted Hammond's doubts. Hammond, we have come too far to turn back now. Trust in the design bestowed upon us. The graces must find their rightful vessels, and this is our only chance to ensure the salvation of our realm, Celice responded, her voice resolute and filled with conviction. As Celice observed the graceful integration of the graces into Evan and Elara, her mind drifted back to her humble origins in the realm of gods. In those days, the belief was that gods were born, not created. However, with the success of this contraption, she realized she held the power to transform any mortal into a god who would serve under her command. It was a moment of triumphant realization, making her feel like a true mastermind orchestrating the destiny of others. Yet, she couldn't ignore the pressing need to protect this contraption from the clutches of the Dark Lord. If he were to discover its existence, there would be no limit to his ability to elevate his already powerful and devoted followers into gods. Celice understood the urgency of safeguarding this knowledge and technology, vowing to do whatever it took to keep it hidden from the Dark Lord's reach. However, Celice and Andor remained oblivious to the true depth of the previous Dark Lord's cunning and the intricate nature of his grand schemes. Little did they know that his plan to unleash the graces through Dagon's actions was just the beginning, a carefully calculated move designed to set in motion a series of events that would forever alter the course of their lives. As the graces were released, it seemed as if everything was going according to plan for those who opposed the Dark Lord. They believed it to be a stroke of fortune in their favor. However, unbeknownst to them, this was all part of the Dark Lord's master plan, a carefully crafted web of manipulation that would lead to his ultimate triumph. Now, a new player had emerged onto the stage, the current Michael. He possessed plans that surpassed even those of the previous Dark Lord. With unwavering determination, Michael set his sights on achieving unparalleled power, vying to become the most formidable god ever known. His ambitions soared higher than any before him, fueling his relentless pursuit of dominance. Celici and Andor, engrossed in their own endeavors, were unaware of the intricate tapestry woven by the previous Dark Lord. Little did they suspect the magnitude of the challenges that lay ahead or the cunning brilliance of the mastermind orchestrating it all. As the radiant golden grace gradually permeated the bodies of Evan and Alara, an intense tremor engulfed them within the glass tubes. Violent quivering shook their forms, causing an eruption of sparks from the contraption and flickering lights that danced around the room. Unforeseen gusts of wind materialized, creating a miniature storm that whipped through the hall. Hammond's voice rose in panic amidst the chaos. "My lady, this isn't going well, they might perish," Hammond exclaimed, shielding his face from the fiery sparks with a trembling hand. While Hammond recoiled from the powerful gusts, Celici stood firm, unaffected by the forceful winds, her eyes fixed upon the Grace's ethereal progression into Evan and Alara. Unlike Hammond, she sensed the immense power radiating from within them, a testament to the Grace's successful integration. "Hammond, we are not simply baking cookies," Celici replied calmly, her voice cutting through the tempestuous air. "We are making gods." A slight tremor and tempestuous storm are to be anticipated in such extraordinary endeavors. As the hall continued to tremble with increasing violence, a sudden darkness shrouded the space, enveloping it in an eerie stillness. Yet, amidst the obscurity, a soft golden glow emanated from the bodies of Alara and Evan. It gradually intensified, piercing through the darkness like a beacon of celestial light. In that radiant illumination, their eyes slowly opened, revealing an otherworldly azure hue that seemed to emit its own luminosity. The harmonious resonance of a gentle hum reverberated from their bodies, resonating through the chamber. It was a sound that whispered of newfound power and divinity. Then, as if guided by an invisible force, the glass tubes that had contained them shattered into countless shards. Alara and Evan, now transformed into gods, hovered effortlessly in the air, liberated from the confines of mortal restraints. With a serene and commanding presence, they advanced forward, their movements grace personified. The hall, which had once trembled with chaos, now stood in awe of their ethereal forms. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation as the pantheon witnessed the birth of two new deities, their very existence altering the course of destiny. A few moments later, the chandeliers flickered back to life, bathing the room in their warm glow. The hall gradually returned to its familiar state, but Hammond's eyes remained widened with astonishment. He didn't even notice the tiny cuts on his face, the remnants of the shattered glass tube that had grazed him. All of his attention was fixed on Evan and Alara, who had gently descended to the ground, their newfound power palpable in the air. Celici turned to them, her gaze filled with curiosity and satisfaction. "How do you two feel?" she asked, eager to hear their impressions. Evan, still trying to make sense of the transformation he had undergone, voiced his confusion. "What is this power?" he inquired. His memories were hazy, recalling Sales's promise of granting him new abilities and urging him to step into the tube filled with shimmering liquid. After entering the tube, darkness had swallowed him, and his consciousness faded away. Now, as he awakened, he felt a profound change coursing through his being, a power unlike anything he had ever experienced before. While Evan sought answers from Celici, Hammond discreetly observed their cultivation levels, hoping to gauge the extent of their newfound abilities. Yet, to his shock, the power radiating from them defied all comprehension. The energy that enveloped Evan and Alara surpassed any mortal cultivation he had ever witnessed. The graces infused within their bodies had shattered the limitations of mortal potential, propelling them into the realm of fledgling gods. Although they had yet to unlock the depths of their inner powers like the enigmatic Dark Lord, given time and Sales's guidance, they possessed the potential to become the very gods that Celici had envisioned. You both should rest now. You've been through a lot, and we have much to accomplish, Celici advised, concern evident in her voice. Although Celici felt a surge of delight at gaining another advantage over the Dark Lord, she remained vigilant. She understood the gravity of the situation and refused to underestimate her formidable adversary. At any given moment, the Dark Lord could seize the opportunity to turn the tables on her. Celici was well aware that underestimating him could lead to dire consequences, even risking her own life. Therefore, she was determined to stay cautious and prepared for any challenges that lay ahead. Chapter 998, Seed of Darkness. Back on Idanes, Michael and Gaia soared through the expansive blue sky, their wings carrying them gracefully above the lush and vibrant forest below. Despite the breathtaking scenery surrounding them, Michael remained lost in his own thoughts, his mind consumed by plans and strategies to confront the gods. Not a word escaped his lips as he delved deeper into his contemplations, focused on the daunting task that lay ahead. After flying for nearly 3 hours, a majestic mountain came into view on the horizon. Its towering peaks seemed to kiss the heavens, casting shadows over the land below. As Michael and Gaia drew closer, they noticed the presence of an outpost nestled upon the mountain's rugged slopes. The Skyhall soldiers had established this formidable fortress, complete with towering structures, imposing metal gates, and vigilant soldiers clad in gleaming armor patrolling its premises. As Michael and Gaia approached the outpost, the aftermath of its establishment became apparent. The once vibrant and flourishing forests surrounding the outpost had been mercilessly destroyed, reduced to a desolate expanse of ashen ground. The stark contrast between the lifeless, charred earth and the edge of the forest, still adorned with its array of colors, was a sobering sight. Even from above, Michael and Gaia could feel the residual heat radiating from the scorched ground. The flames set by the Skyhall soldiers to clear the area and secure their outpost had left an indelible mark on the landscape. The scent of smoke lingered in the air, a reminder of the destruction that had taken place. As Michael and Gaia hovered in the sky, Michael's piercing gaze fixated on the outpost sprawled before him. The outpost resembled a formidable fortress, strategically positioned at the base of the tall mountain. Its towering structures, constructed with sturdy stone and reinforced with metal, stood as a testament to the Skyhall soldiers' determination to maintain their hold on this territory. From his vantage point, Michael discerned the complex layout of the outpost. The main entrance, guarded by a pair of massive metal gates, served as the primary access point. The gates were flanked by watchtowers, providing an elevated view of the surroundings. He noticed the patrolling soldiers, clad in gleaming metal armor, marching along designated routes, their disciplined footsteps echoing through the outpost. The perimeter of the fortress was encircled by a tall stone wall, punctuated by arrow slits and battlements, offering the defenders a strategic advantage. Michael's keen eyes scanned the wall, searching for any weak points or vulnerabilities that could be exploited. He noted a section where the stones seemed weathered, a potential target for breaching the defenses. Within the outpost, Michael estimated a considerable number of soldiers, their presence indicated by the bustling activity and occasional clanking of armor. The outpost was a well-guarded stronghold, a testament to the Skyhall soldiers' readiness to protect their position against any opposing force. Michael mentally mapped out the outpost, committing its structure and layout to memory. He knew that any attempt to infiltrate and confront the Skyhall soldiers would require careful planning and precise execution. These idiots appear to be complacent and unaware, Michael. We have the advantage of surprise on our side. Let's storm the shit out this outpost, Gaia suggested, her anger still simmering from the recent wedding chaos caused by Rudra. The Skyhall soldiers seemed like the perfect outlet for her pent-up frustration. However, Michael opted for a more measured approach. Just give me a moment, Michael calmly replied, conjuring a pair of drones from his storage system with a swift motion of his hand. He commanded the drones to hover discreetly above the outpost, scanning the area for additional information beyond the soldiers' sight. He also wanted to eavesdrop on the conversations among the soldiers gathered around a campfire within the outpost. While it would have been easy for Michael to obliterate the outpost simply, his primary objective was to acquire the Seed of Darkness, an enigmatic object or source of energy whose nature remained unknown to him. He needed to gather as much information as possible about the outpost and the knowledge possessed by the Skyhall soldiers before launching an attack. As an experienced hitman, Michael understood the paramount importance of preparation and acquiring even the smallest morsel of information to ensure the success of his mission. With the drones buzzing and soaring through the sky, Michael and Gaia focused intently on their earpieces, listening to the audio transmitted from the drones. As Michael and Gaia listened attentively to the transmitted audio from the drones, the soldiers' conversation around the campfire unfolded before them. "I can't stand this world anymore. It's so boring," one soldier grumbled, a hint of nostalgia evident in his voice. "I miss the comforts of home, the warmth of a woman's touch." Another soldier chimed in, wood elven women, they have a certain charm about them, don't they? Those ethereal features and grace. I quite liked them." A soldier scoffed, "You must be joking. Wood elven women are overrated. Give me a strong dwarven lass any day." Amid their banter, another soldier interjected, "Enough with your romantic escapades. Have you heard anything about the equipment needed to break down that black door in the cave? The Skyhall is taking ages to send it." "Who knows? They're probably too busy counting their riches," another soldier replied, frustration evident in his voice. "But seriously, what kind of metal is that door made of? I've never seen anything like it." A gruff voice cut through the conversation, asserting, "Our job is to safeguard the cave, not question the orders. The Skyhall knows what they're doing." "True," another soldier chimed in. "Those wood elves are no match for us anyway. Their primitive bows and arrows won't even scratch our armor. It's laughable, really." Laughter erupted among the soldiers as they dismissed the threat posed by the wood elves. They reveled in their perceived superiority, oblivious to the impending storm that Michael and Gaia would unleash upon them. As Michael listened to the soldiers' conversation, a realization dawned upon him. The black door they spoke of, with its mysterious composition and the Skyhall's delay in providing the necessary equipment to breach it, seemed to align with the possible location of the Seed of Darkness. A surge of excitement coursed through him, knowing that he was one step closer to achieving his goal. Turning to Gaia, he spoke in hushed tones, "We have a valuable piece of information. That black door they mentioned might be guarding what I want. We need to be patient and strike under the cover of darkness when they least expect it." Gaia nodded in agreement, understanding the strategic advantage of waiting for the right moment. Together, they planned to unleash their assault when the nightfall cloaked their movements and the soldiers would be caught off guard. While Michael and Gaia formulated their plan, the drones continued their reconnaissance. As they scanned the surroundings, one drone came across a tent where several soldiers, not wearing their heavy armor, were busily preparing food for the upcoming dinner. Michael's lips curled into a devilish smile as he plotted a devious scheme. "Look, Gaia," he whispered, his eyes gleaming with mischief. "We have an opportunity to give these soldiers a special treat." With calculated precision, Michael maneuvered the drone closer to the tent, capturing footage of the soldiers handling the ingredients and preparing the meals. His mind whirred with thoughts of infusing the food with a subtle poison, a method to weaken their ranks before their ultimate assault. The information they gathered would serve a dual purpose. Not only would it provide crucial intelligence about the outpost, but it would also facilitate Michael's plan to incapacitate the soldiers without expending unnecessary energy or risking their own safety. The realization that Idanes lacked the arch-energy or celestial energy he needed to fuel his cultivation power prompted Michael to conserve his limited resources, particularly his precious arch-energy crystals. He knew that every decision had to be strategic, and his new plan offered a means to achieve their objectives with minimal confrontation. Descending gracefully through the dense forest canopy, Michael landed gracefully on a sturdy branch of a towering tree, positioning himself and Gaia to observe the outpost from a vantage point. With a flick of his wrist, he summoned the drones back to his side, their mission of reconnaissance complete. "I can see what you are up to, but I still want to storm the outpost and kill them with my own hands." Gaia expressed her desire to storm the outpost and engage in direct combat, her fiery spirit eager for action. However, Michael remained resolute, his calm demeanor reflecting his calculated approach. "The best fight is one we win without raising our fists," he responded, his voice steady and assured. He knew that leveraging their advantage and avoiding unnecessary conflict would maximize their chances of success. As the drones returned, Michael deftly retrieved colorless vials from his system's storage. Tapping the drone's undersides, he revealed a hidden compartment large enough to accommodate each vial. Placing the vials inside, he sealed the compartments with practiced ease. With the vials securely in place, the two drones resumed their flight towards the outpost. However, Michael knew that getting close enough to poison the boiling porridge cauldron undetected would be a challenge. He needed a distraction, and fortunately, his wife possessed a talent for creating chaotic diversions. "Honey, if you may," Michael playfully requested, fully aware that using the endearment would elicit a response from Gaia. As expected, she rolled her eyes and playfully punched him on the shoulder. Even in the midst of their mission, Michael took joy in teasing her and making her angry. "That sounds so cringe, I want to throw up," Gaia quipped, summoning her long bow into her hand with a swift motion. Knocking an explosive arrow onto her bowstring, she took aim at a tent situated a distance away from the food preparation area. Her intention was to create an explosion that would draw the attention of the soldiers, prompting them to rush outside to investigate. With a steadying breath, Gaia focused her aim and released the arrow. The explosive projectile soared through the air, covering a distance of at least 400 meters before finding its mark on the targeted tent. In an instant, the arrow detonated with a resounding blast, unleashing chaos within the outpost's confines. The sudden explosion jolted the soldiers inside the food preparation tent, startling them from their tasks. They hurriedly abandoned their work, rushing outside to assess the situation. The commotion spread like wildfire, causing a ripple of shock and tension among the other soldiers stationed within the outpost. "What the hell was that?" exclaimed a burly soldier with a thick beard, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. "I don't know, but we need to find out," responded a wiry soldier, gripping his spear tightly as he joined the others in investigating the source of the explosion. As the soldiers anxiously dispersed, their attention fixated on the aftermath of the blast, Michael seized the opportunity. Swiftly maneuvering the drones, he expertly controlled their movements, guiding them toward the various food stations scattered around the outpost. With each drone equipped to spray the poison from the concealed vials, Michael directed them to contaminate every dish, including the large cauldron of porridge bubbling over an open flame. "Let's make sure they all get a taste of our little surprise," Michael muttered, his voice filled with devious satisfaction. The drones moved swiftly and efficiently, their poison-laden sprays coating the meals, unseen by the soldiers preoccupied with the explosion. Just as quickly as they had arrived, the drones retreated into the sky, disappearing from sight before anyone could spot them. From their vantage point in the trees, Michael and Gaia observed the chaos unfolding within the outpost, the soldiers now oblivious to the impending threat lurking within their food. Michael's lips curled into a satisfied smirk, knowing that their plan was well underway. "They won't even know what hit them," he whispered to Gaia, his voice laced with a mix of anticipation and triumph. When the darkness covered the world and night fell, Michael and Gaia soared through the air toward the outpost. As they descended upon the scene, a horrifying sight greeted their eyes. The soldiers, once bustling with life, now lay sprawled across the ground, their bodies racked with pain and suffering. Some soldiers coughed violently, spewing blood from their mouths, while others remained motionless, their life forces extinguished. The once proud and formidable warriors now appeared frail and broken. Their faces contorted with agony, marked by veins pulsating an ominous shade of purple. The air itself seemed tainted, heavy with the metallic scent of blood and the haunting symphony of groans and retching. The poison had taken its toll, its effects lingering long enough to ensure that each soldier had consumed the tainted food. It was a slow and agonizing demise, affording them no respite from their torment. Their groans echoed through the night, accompanied by the haunting symphony of coughs and the sickening splatter of blood. Theta M. Michael and Gaia observed the grim aftermath, their expressions a mix of morbid fascination and detachment. The scene before them was a testament to their meticulous planning, a reminder of the lengths they were willing to go to achieve their goal. They got what they deserve, Michael muttered, his voice barely audible over the cacophony of suffering. As the night stretched on, the groans grew fainter, replaced by an eerie silence. The last vestiges of life slipped away, leaving only the stillness of death in its wake. The once bustling outpost now stood as a grim testament to their victory, a reminder of the power they wielded. Michael's gaze shifted towards the gaping maw of a nearby cave, a foreboding darkness that beckoned to him. He could sense that within its depths lay the answers he sought, the black door and the seed of darkness. Determination burned within him as he took a step closer, ready to embark on the next phase of his perilous journey. Chapter 999, Way to Wake Up the System Permanently. As Michael ventured deeper into the mountain, the cavern revealed remnants of broken puppets scattered amidst the gray stones etched with mysterious runes. The sight of these fragments evoked memories of golems in Gaia's mind, prompting her to maintain a vigilant and silent demeanor. Illuminating their path, two beams of bright light emitted from the intricately engraved skull adorning their chest armor. With each step, Michael observed the telltale signs of a fierce struggle, evidenced by shattered stone pieces and bloodstains splattered across the walls. It was clear that the Skyhall soldiers had encountered a formidable defense protecting the coveted seed of darkness. Finally reaching the end of the cave, Michael confronted a foreboding black metal gate. Strewn before it were various discarded tools and equipment, remnants of the Skyhall soldiers' relentless attempts to breach the door's formidable barrier. Among the scattered remnants stood a formidable siege machine, a testament to their desperate efforts. Intrigued, Michael approached the gate, his hand instinctively reaching out to touch its cold, impenetrable surface. Gaia, running her fingers along the door, murmured in awe, "This metal, it feels the same as your dark swords." Michael nodded, acknowledging the similarities. "It does bear resemblance, but it is not the same," he replied. Although the door appeared to be crafted from a similar material to his dark swords, Michael discerned its inherent weakness in comparison. To others, particularly the Skyhall soldiers, this metal seemed impenetrable. And it was precisely because of this impenetrability that the soldiers had been thwarted in their attempts to breach its formidable barrier. Michael couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction at the door's resilience, knowing it had safeguarded what lay beyond from falling into the wrong hands. In a bold move, Michael unleashed a powerful punch upon the unyielding door, causing the cave to tremble and the very foundations to quake. "That is not a good idea," Gaia, witnessing the impact, voiced her concern, cautioning him about the potential repercussions. Nodding in agreement, Michael glanced back at her and issued a warning. "Step back. Things are about to heat up," he advised, his eyes ablaze with determination. With a swift motion, he conjured a searing ball of dark flames, its malevolent glow casting an eerie light upon the surroundings. Directing the stream of intense heat towards the door, the dark flames made contact with the once impervious metal surface, causing previously unseen runes to ignite with a vibrant glow. Gradually, the dark flames began their relentless assault, causing the metal door to slowly yield and warp like molten wax beneath the scorching onslaught. With each passing moment, the door succumbed to the irresistible force of the dark flames, gradually dissolving away to reveal the hidden sanctum concealed within. As Michael and Gaia stepped into the inner sanctum, they were greeted by a sight that left them awestruck. The spacious hall was enveloped by walls of crystalline blue, shimmering with an ethereal radiance that bathed the entire chamber in a dim, mystical glow. The crystallized walls seemed to hold secrets of ancient times, as if whispering tales of forgotten knowledge and long-lost power. Standing as sentinels around the hall were towering metal statues, their imposing figures casting elongated shadows upon the polished floor. The statues possessed an air of ancient wisdom, their stoic gazes fixed upon the center of the hall where a sliver of luminous energy floated gracefully above a majestic metal pillar. As Michael and Gaia ventured further into the hall, the metal black door they had melted down behind them abruptly came to life once again. The door, seemingly rejuvenated by an unseen force, closed with a resounding thud, sealing off their entry and shrouding the sanctum in an atmosphere of mystery and isolation. The atmosphere in the inner sanctum was heavy with an ancient presence, as if the very air held the essence of bygone eras. Gaia's eyes widened in awe and intrigue as she took in the sight before her. She had traversed many enigmatic ancient locations in her lifetime, but this hall possessed an indescribable quality that set it apart. It exuded an unmistakable aura of antiquity, as though it had been untouched by the passing of time. Michael, his focus unwavering, fixated his gaze on the ethereal sliver of light suspended in the center of the hall. With cautious steps, he advanced towards the radiant glow. Deep within, he knew that acquiring another seed of darkness would not be a simple task. The system had revealed that he required one more seed to ascend to the next level of his godhood, and he understood the magnitude of the challenges that lay ahead. His own armor was a seed of darkness, yet he required one more to reach the next godhood level according to the system. Just as Michael had anticipated, a resounding voice reverberated through the expanse of the hall, abruptly halting Michael and Gaia in their tracks. It was a voice that bore a resemblance to that of a woman, yet it exuded an unmistakable air of authority and supremacy. "Welcome, God of Darkness, to your first trial," the voice boomed, its power intertwining with the very essence of the hall. The imposing presence of the voice sent shivers down their spines, as an unseen force wrapped around them, rendering them immobile. The once free movement of their bodies was now stifled by the grip of this invisible paralysis. And as Michael and Gaia stood there, helpless, the commanding voice continued its address. "Speed, dear God of Darkness, is a formidable power that transcends mortal limitations," the ancient voice proclaimed with an air of wisdom. "In the realm of gods, the swiftness of movement defines the boundaries of one's might. Your mortal speed, though impressive by mortal standards, is as sluggish as a turtle compared to even the most leisurely of gods." Michael and Gaia listened intently, their bodies held captive by the unseen force that bound them. They could only absorb the words of the voice, unable to react or respond. "Before you may claim the coveted seed of darkness," the voice continued, "you must prove yourself worthy by overcoming a trial that will test the very essence of your speed. Within this ancient hall lies a path fraught with challenges designed to push your limits and unlock the swiftness hidden within you. Only then shall you be deemed deserving of the seed that holds the power of darkness." The words of the ancient voice echoed in Michael's mind, leaving him with a lingering sense of uncertainty. Why was this trial necessary now, when he had obtained the dark flames without such an ordeal? He pondered the purpose behind this test of speed and its connection to acquiring the seed of darkness. The system remained dormant, unable to provide the answers he sought. Michael could only hope that once the system awakened, it would reveal the number of seeds required to awaken its power fully. The words of the ancient voice echoed in Michael's mind, leaving him with a lingering sense of uncertainty. Why was this trial necessary now, when he had obtained the dark flames without such an ordeal? He pondered the purpose behind this test of speed and its connection to acquiring the seed of darkness. The system remained dormant, unable to provide the answers he sought. Michael could only hope that once the system awakened, it would reveal the number of seeds required to fully awaken its power. As the echoes of the ancient voice faded, the oppressive force that had held Michael captive dissipated, granting him the freedom to move. However, Gaia remained ensnared, still trapped by the invisible grasp of the unseen power. Michael's concern for her was abruptly interrupted by a chilling rustling sound that sent a shiver down his spine. Reacting with lightning reflexes, Michael instinctively leaned back, his body contorting as an arrow whizzed past him, missing his face by a mere hair's breadth. The arrow buried itself deep into the wall, its presence a stark reminder of the dangers that lurked within the shadowy recesses of the hall. With his senses heightened, Michael scanned the surroundings, his eyes darting from one corner to another, searching for the source of the arrow and the potential threats that lay hidden within the ancient sanctum. As Michael activated his environmental scanning map, he was alarmed to detect hostile entities lurking in the vicinity. Though invisible to his eyes, he could sense their presence through the rustling sounds and the powerful gusts of wind swirling around him. His heightened senses became his guiding compass as he focused on sound and instinct. Drawing his gleaming swords from their sheaths, Michael closed his eyes, relying solely on his sharpened senses. In a swift motion, he unfurled his metal wings, their magnificent expanse shimmering in the dim light of the hall. The clash of metal against wood reverberated through the air as an ephemeral figure, crafted from the very essence of nature, materialized beside him before vanishing into thin air. A voice, both enigmatic and commanding, broke the silence. If you are to face the pantheon, the first god they shall unleash upon you is lightning, the god of speed. With frustration brewing within him, Michael's voice rang out, filled with determination and curiosity. Who the fuck are you? His query hung in the air, unanswered, as a new threat materialized. Reacting swiftly, Michael took cover behind his protective metal wings, the glimmering surface shielding him from an imminent attack. This time, he managed to catch a glimpse of the assailants, peculiar wooden puppets, whose blinding speed rendered them virtually invisible. Who or what I am doesn't concern you, God of Darkness. Instead, focus on the formidable challenge before you. The puppets you currently face are mere fragments of lightning's power. Imagine the magnitude of his true form. You must grow stronger and faster, for this trial marks the beginning of your preparation for the impending battle against the gods. With each relentless strike from the invisible puppets, Michael's wings emitted sparks, bearing witness to the ferocity of their assault. Enough. But in a moment of fierce determination, Michael bellowed, commanding their onslaught to cease. Unleashing the full power of his wings, he sent the wooden puppets hurtling through the air, their hold broken. The hall plunged into an even deeper darkness as Michael invoked the death range, its ominous aura enveloping him. Dark flames swirled around him, serving as an impenetrable shield. Sensing another puppet approaching from behind, he conjured the Silene spell, causing time to slow within a meter radius. To his surprise, even within the slowed-down zone, the wooden puppet moved with disorienting speed. Undeterred, Michael swiftly swung his sword at the precise moment, cleaving the puppet in two with a decisive stroke. After Michael cleaved through the first puppet, he focused his gaze on their cultivation stage. As he had anticipated, the puppets emitted a similar energy radiation to that of Rudra. Yet, the intensity of their radiance paled in comparison to the orc possessed by Rudra's sliver of grace. In a flurry of motion, the remaining puppets launched themselves at Michael, their movements invisible to Gaia's eyes. From her perspective, it seemed as though Michael was slashing his swords through empty air, leaving her both amazed and perplexed. As the puppets attacked Michael with astonishing speed, their wooden blades sliced through the air, aiming for his vulnerable spots. Some managed to make contact, their sharp edges grazing his body, but Michael's armor protected him from any serious harm. The metallic plates absorbed the impact, leaving only minor scratches in their wake. Unfazed by the assault, Michael retaliated with a display of his own formidable powers. With a swift motion of his swords, lightning bolts crackled and surged forth from their tips, striking the puppets with electrifying force. The bolts of electricity coursed through their wooden bodies, causing them to convulse and malfunction. Simultaneously, Michael invoked the Silene spell once again, creating a localized distortion of time within his immediate vicinity. The slowed-down world granted him enhanced perception, enabling him to dodge the lightning-fast attacks of the remaining puppets with deft precision. His eyes, shining with a dark energy, emitted beams that pierced through the air, disintegrating the puppets in their path. The destructive power of his gaze left trails of dissipating darkness, marking their annihilation. But Michael wasn't finished yet. Drawing upon his inner reservoirs of power, he conjured the Ring of Flames. Black-colored flames erupted from his outstretched hands, forming a fiery vortex that engulfed the area around him. Waves of scorching heat radiated outwards, disintegrating any remnants of the puppets that dared to approach. The battle raged on, an intricate dance between the god of darkness and the seemingly invincible puppets. Michael's movements were fluid and precise, his attacks calculated and devastating. With each passing moment, the puppets dwindled in numbers, their wooden bodies succumbing to the relentless onslaught. The air crackled with energy, illuminated by the flashes of lightning, while the echoes of clashing metal and the roar of flames reverberated throughout the ancient hall. As frustration swelled within Michael, he could no longer contain his pent-up emotions. His voice thundered through the hall, "I am sick of fighting these pointless battles." With a surge of power, he stomped the ground with such force that the very earth quivered beneath him. Cracks spread across the ground like a web, disrupting the puppets' stability and throwing them off balance. Seizing this golden opportunity, Michael propelled himself forward, his speed augmented by his determination. He sprinted towards the shimmering sliver of bright energy that hovered at the center of the hall. With outstretched hand, he reached out and clasped it tightly within his grasp. As his fingers closed around the pulsating sliver, a surge of energy coursed through Michael's body. It was as if he had tapped into a wellspring of power that resonated with his very essence. Chapter 1000, Infiltrating the Sky Hall. After harnessing the empowering energy of the sliver, Michael turned his attention to the system store. With his accumulated badass points, he swiftly purchased a special teleportation scroll and a potent rune to conceal Gaia's presence from the prying eyes of the fallen gods. The transaction depleted a significant portion of his hard-earned points, but he knew these items would be crucial for their upcoming missions. Gaia, fully aware of the importance of her role, prepared to depart from the inner sanctum. She clasped the rune in her hand, feeling its ancient power resonate within her. With a nod of determination, she stepped onto the designated teleportation circle, activating the scroll. A brilliant surge of energy engulfed her, and in an instant, she vanished from the hall before giving Michael a tender kiss on his lips. Stepping out of the hall, Michael found himself face to face with the black door he had melted earlier. To his surprise, the door opened on its own accord, allowing him to exit. As he emerged from the cave, his environmental scanning map alerted him to the presence of hostile entities in the vicinity. Reacting swiftly, Michael utilized his lightning dash ability, moving with incredible speed towards the cave opening. Once he reached the mouth of the cave, the Sky Hall soldiers who had been stationed at the outpost lay lifeless on the ground, their bodies riddled with bloody wounds. The devastating effects of the poison he had unleashed upon them were evident. The sight of the fallen soldiers left the surviving Sky Hall soldiers in a state of terror and shock. They gazed upon the grim scene, their faces etched with a mix of fear and disbelief. Michael's poison had taken its toll, and the soldiers lay motionless, their life forces drained away. The air hung heavy with the stench of blood, and a haunting silence enveloped the area. The Sky Hall soldiers stood frozen in shock and disbelief as they beheld the lifeless bodies of their fallen comrades. They gathered around, their faces filled with a mix of horror and confusion. One soldier exclaimed, "What happened here? How did they all die?" Another soldier knelt down beside a fallen comrade, examining the gruesome wounds on his body. "Look at this," he said, his voice trembling with disbelief. "There are no signs of a fight. It's like they were struck down without even raising a sword." A third soldier joined the examination, his eyes widening with realization. "Wait, these wounds, they look like the effects of poison," he said, his voice hushed. "But how? Who could have done this?" The soldiers exchanged worried glances, their minds racing to piece together the puzzle before them. One soldier spoke up, his voice laced with urgency. "We need to alert the Sky Hall elders immediately." "Let's activate the portal," insisted the brown-haired Sky Hall soldier. With mere seconds, or at best a minute, to make a decision, Michael weighed his options carefully. Killing the three soldiers might sever his only chance of reaching the Sky Hall. Until now, he had been clueless about the actual location of the Sky Hall headquarters, and he lacked the necessary power. However, things had changed, and he now possessed the strength and perhaps an opportunity to enter the heart of the enemy. Yet, if he wasted time without eliminating the soldiers, they could vanish from his sight, leaving him in the dark. Michael had only a few precious seconds to uncover their plan for reaching the Sky Hall. Fortunately, luck was on his side as he witnessed one of the Sky Hall soldiers retrieve a silver coin from his pocket. The copper coin bore a striking resemblance to the one he had taken from Jacobus' brother. Read Chapter 838 to refresh your memories about this copper coin. Michael observed a rune on the wooden cabin wall, resembling a swirling vortex, before the soldier. Though he wasn't a rune master, his experience with Elidar had granted him some knowledge. It seemed that the coin needed to be placed on the rune to activate a portal, the probable means of teleportation. However, the predicament lay in the fact that if the soldiers placed the coin on the rune, they would be whisked away, leaving Michael with no means of reaching the Sky Hall. To prevent this, he swiftly cast the Sileni spell, causing time to slow down within a confined bubble encompassing him and the soldiers. With the soldiers frozen in time, Michael sprang into action. He deftly unsheathed his dark sword from his back and swiftly severed the hand of the soldier holding the copper coin. The slowed time prevented blood from spraying or the soldier's scream from escaping his lips. Michael then swung his sword again, beheading the soldier, while simultaneously releasing a bolt of lightning from his outstretched finger, piercing the skull of the second soldier. With a swift motion, he cleaved the third soldier in half with his sword. As the third soldier perished, time resumed its normal flow, revealing the brutal aftermath in real time. Blood sprayed from the severed hand and neck of the first soldier while his decapitated head flew through the air. The second soldier fell lifeless, a small wisp of smoke rising from the center of his forehead, indicating where the lightning bolt had struck. The third soldier lay on the ground, bisected, blood staining the cabin red. However, not a single sound escaped, and no reinforcements rushed to their aid. The coin soared through the air, effortlessly caught by Michael's outstretched hand. Without wasting a moment, he pressed the skull-shaped engraving at the center of his armor. In a mesmerizing display, the armor began to shrink, folding in on itself until it vanished completely, leaving behind only a small skull.